We had a good discussion going on.
Give us time to recover.
All right, now we're live. So what's up, everybody? Back. Took a week off. My fault, but yeah, we're here.
All right.
And we got some stuff to discuss, so we should just get right to it. I was thinking, since it's been a couple weeks, Robert, I'll let you start. Don't go on for minutes here, but has there been a new game that you played, or a game that you beat in the last 2 weeks that you want to talk about?
Let me just check my. I actually don't think I beat, because I've been playing, admittedly, both. Every game I've been playing is pretty damn long. So far I've been playing Yakuza, Sakuna, Assassin's Creed, and then a backlog title. And a backlog title is the other one's pretty long. I haven't finished. I've just been aiming on Yakuza, but I have played with my stepdad. Portal 2. We started playing the co-op of Portal 2, and god damn, there's so many times we sit on the couch and we're just like in silence. Just hold on.
What do you do?
Wait, if we do this, if we do that, you do like, it's so good. It is an incredible game. I've never, like, obviously I want to play the main campaign too, but people have been praising
that's really funny.
The co-op.
It's one of the best co-op games, man. It's good.
Incredible. No, yeah, we're like halfway through. We're at like chapter 3, and chapter 3 took us quite a while. It's a great game. But other than that, I haven't really played in the past week.
Okay.
I haven't played anything new, but I didn't say really stuff about Yakuza last time. Just say real quick, Yakuza is fucking amazing.
You can't. I see. I gave him the simple guidelines, and he's already
failing. All right, it's only been like 40
you start any new games
Wow, y'all just gonna pass
or beat any games for the first time in the last 2 weeks?
This disrespect, bro.
Incredible, dude. Incredible.
Yeah. New to me. That's what you're saying. Not just this year. Yeah. Quantum Break. Started that and beat that Saturday night. And Halo 5, which I've had forever, but I've just never had the motivation to play it because of I know people's gripes with it, so it's just kind of made me not play it. I think that's it for us new games that I started, but yeah.
All right, what about you, Retro?
I've been trying to be more Robert and like actually finishing shit instead of playing new shit. I got the true, because it's something I've been putting off for a while. I got the true ending finally in Age of Calamity. Like when you finish the game, there's more shit, and I did all that shit now. And I started actually the single player campaign of Splatoon 2. Because just like Splatoon 1, I never touched the single-player campaign even, like, at all and shit.
Wait, you never played it in Splatoon 1 either?
No, I finished it in Splatoon 1, but I mean, I did the multiplayer always, and it took me, like, maybe 100 hours of multiplayer before I was like, let me do the single-player shit.
No,
it's the same thing now. Like, I had the itch to play Splatoon and stuff. I've been playing a bit more with my girlfriend. I was like, you know what? I'll start playing the single-player mode, and I'm having a blast with it. I'm at, like, World 3 now, I think, or 4, something like that. I'm going pretty fast. I'm playing it every day.
That's pretty good single player.
Are you 100%ing it?
What?
Are you 100%ing it?
Splatoon?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to. Well, I don't know what 100%.
I don't know what. I can't remember
I'm
what.
trying to find the scroll and the sardine thing. I want to get In that case, I'm doing every level and shit. And I'm not doing the thing like I'm playing through the whole game, then going back. I'm not moving on to the next level until I find all that shit.
That's what I did. That's what I did. Yeah, that's what I did too.
Well, it's such a shame because every level has like a brand new mechanic, and half the mechanics, I'm like, why is this not in the multiplayer? These bouncy pads and these blow-up shields. There's all these really cool mechanics. And I'm like, why not put that in the main game?
But that's what sets it apart from the multiplayer. That's what I like.
That doesn't set us apart. That makes the multiplayer like contained.
Yeah. When people think like, oh, I'll just play Splatoon 2, it's pretty much I got everything Splatoon. No, there's like 7 maps on Splatoon 1 that we don't have in Splatoon 2. So there's a lot from Splatoon 1.
Well, it has the best boss fight too. Like has that.
Some best boss fight and have some like really cool maps, not just whatever maps, but like.
And I can't remember. Is it Splatoon 1 or two, or maybe both, where you have like a hub world with you have to get to like the different levels, the
I think
different.
both of them had
both
that.
Yeah, both of
had
them.
that.
See, that's what
Yeah,
I miss
yeah.
that in the Octo expansion. I miss being able to
I
like
get that.
to the levels, because basically just hit X and you just pick it and you play it. It just feels.
Well, what I think what they exchanged that for was kind of just because it was on a whole train.
Yeah.
You would have a different set of characters on the train, so you have these different species like on the train, like they're just chilling. Like every go to different terminals, like different stations.
And I know why you like the little chatter between them so much. They're talking about.
I love them. It's so funny.
Writing, I don't know what, bars and shit. Like it's just
Yeah, it's
so up
so
your
good.
alley, and I'm just
It's
like,
so good.
I'm just speed reading through it. It's not really,
No,
not doing
what?
much for
Really?
me, man.
Oh,
I knew
man.
that was
It's
gonna
not
be
hitting me the way it hit
What?
you. That's for sure.
Oh, I
It's
love
not
it.
my. That's not
You talk
my.
about rapping. They're
I'm
always
not-
talking about
I'm
That's not
rapping.
my. That's not my
This fucking guy.
interest. But
Oh, man.
I am more than halfway through. But all right, Terrell, you start anything or finish anything in the last 2 weeks?
No. I think everything is still Yakuza, Bloodborne, Bravely. I think it was the main. Oh, Monster Hunter. I'm sorry. Monster Hunter Rise. Those are my 4.
Had you
Well,
started that?
You haven't talked about Bryce. You liking it?
I've only done like the first couple of missions. I'm still trying to get my mind used to the controls, but that's been pretty fun. I've only done maybe a few hours in it. I'm not gonna lie. I've been in my Yakuza mode.
Dude, me too.
Which
yo.
one is it?
I'm playing Zero.
Oh, yeah.
which is the prequel. That shit is just it's just so good.
Fucking
But
amazing.
I'm not gonna carry
Okay.
on. So now you get
So
about that stuff.
in the last 2 weeks, I played Oddworld. Well, you played Oddworld too, Terrell, because we did the share play, and you played most of that first level.
Yeah, how's the rest of the game been? So
Well,
far?
I've played 3 levels. The next 2 are about almost an hour each to get through.
Really?
Damn.
And it's the exact same aesthetic. I haven't gotten to the train. I haven't got to anything new. It all looks. I don't know. T watched me play the 3rd level, and it took me almost an hour because it's hard. It's I'm enjoying it. I usually don't like the trial and error bullshit, but the way it's set up with the checkpoints right before the hard section makes it a lot easier just to get right back in. I will say,
frustrating.
yeah, it does get frustrating. I'm not like super, like I don't think about, oh, I can't wait to play that next, like some of the other games I'm playing. So, but we can talk about the share play in a little bit too, because that was actually a pretty cool way to just chat and play a game, especially sharing the controller. I'm wired.
Chat with your friends.
Yeah, while you're playing, and T didn't even have PlayStation Plus. I couldn't believe that it actually let you voice chat. So
Oh, really?
I don't pay for the service, and I can still chat with you
and
Oh
watch
my
me
God.
play, watch my game.
Watch you play using your share ability.
That was just chill. Like, yeah, that was cool because it's not like a story driven game. Even though it has a long cutscenes, that part of it wasn't story driven. But it's pretty cool. I mean, I'm gonna keep plugging away at it, and then I played the 2 Resident Evil Village demos, the Village and the Castle demo, and absolutely, I pre-ordered it after the first demo because it's like 7 wasn't my favorite, but I thought it got better after you got out of the house. But it still didn't feel that Resident Evil to me. I know Ravarula 2 claim for him it felt very Resident Evil. For me, it just didn't. I didn't catch those vibes, and maybe I just wasn't in the right mindset at the time.
Well, Resident Evil has like different kinds of fans, unfortunately.
because you didn't play it in VR.
Oh,
But-
get out of here!
The funny thing
Y'all
is,
must have a VR headset, T.
the funny
Aren't you
thing
sitting
is,
in VR?
I'm playing and my mic was muted, so I think I deleted the video now. All I kept saying was, "Damn, I'm getting Resident Evil 4 vibes playing this." Like, it just had.
And literally everybody's been saying
It just
that.
had
I've
those
watched
vibes. And I
every
watched
video.
Girlfriend Reviews live stream yesterday, and they said the exact same thing. Man, this feels like the best of Resident Evil 4 mixed with Resident Evil 7. Like, and I was like,
Yeah,
it just has those vibes, man. Just even when I'm outside, there's like the tall. It doesn't look like it's not corn. I don't know what it is. Waist
it's
high.
like wheat. I thought it was like wheat
And,
or something.
I'm searching for shit, and then I hear these dudes with like kind of sickle like weapons, and they're part lichen and stuff, and it's like I just got that the feeling. Funny enough, it's called Resident Evil Village, but I got the feeling of when in Resident Evil 4 when you get to that first village, and and the people just go crazy on you. You got the guy with
Well, do you
burlap
think
sack.
that's why it is? Because it's in a village.
that's
You know,
an
Resident
accident.
But
Evil 4 is
even the inside stuff, I just really got Resident Evil 4 vibes,
Yeah.
man. That's just it
It
feels like
pushes a lot of exploration. I noticed.
yeah, and
Like you're encouraged to explore the houses and shit.
it pushes the I don't know what the word is, like it just the atmosphere, I guess. You know, Retro Death, I know you love atmosphere. It just has the atmosphere of a Resident Evil game. Like it's almost like when you played Ocarina of Time for the first time and you're like, man, this just feels like a Zelda game. Like even though it's in 3D now, it just feels like what a Zelda game should feel like. And I feel like Resident Evil 8 finally is like that evolutionary next gen like Resident Evil game that for me 7 wasn't. So I'm super
I
excited.
love it how you're always looking for this word. Every time you describe a game, you're looking for a word. And then in the end, you go like atmosphere. And you look at me with disdain, like I did something fucking
No.
evil.
I just know
did-
you're.
listen,
I just
the
know
goal
you.
is that Retro, you did everything wrong. That was the
I
goal.
just know that when I say that, I'm shit, and I didn't even have the chat up. I
Oh,
didn't
it
know
makes you
people were here.
smile. You know,
Hey.
'cause
I knew
atmosphere
every
is a
time I
big
say
thing.
it, I know you're just a part of you is just like, yep,
Oh yeah,
motherfuckers.
that word. That's the word that works for me, man.
I mean,
Must be
atmosphere is big, man.
vindicated.
Atmosphere is big. I agree.
But it's
Yeah,
just,
definitely.
I mean, I'm really excited for the game now, and so I don't know if I want to play anymore because I think the next demo you get an hour, you get to choose inside or out, but it's like it doesn't start at the beginning of the game, so if, I'm not gonna play for an hour and then start the
You
game
kind of
over.
know some of the setup.
But I already have a good feel for it. I'm excited for it. And I didn't beat any games, but those are the 2 I started. But I do want to talk about a game that I'm intending to beat by next weekend. And we're going to get right into one of the topics. And Final Fantasy VII Remake. So I started it when I first got the PS5. I took a couple weeks off, and I was like, you know what? Let me just play for an hour and see if I want to continue with this game. I was on chapter 8 or 7. And so I start playing, and next thing I know, 2.5 hours go by, and I'm still playing. It's like, oh damn! So I played it like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I think I had like 11 or 12 hours in total over those 3 days. So I'm just pushing through. I'm gonna try to get to the end, but I just did chapter 12, and in the middle of chapter 12, you switch from Cloud. You're getting up this pillar, and you're trying to get up there, and it's intense. There's like basically you got to get there quick because something's gonna happen. And then it cuts to Tifa and Aerith and Wedge. And then let me break this down for you. So it's a 14-minute sequence. And so here's how it plays out. So it starts out, and I watched it on YouTube and tracked the amount of time spent. So what happens is you start with a 1:20 cutscene. Then it switches to you, the player. You control Aerith for 7 seconds. That takes you to a 2-minute, 17-second cutscene with Wedge trying to get people to open a gate. Switch back to Aerith, 8 seconds. That takes you to a minute cutscene. Then you control Aerith for 4 seconds. That takes you to a 47-second cutscene. And then you finally get to control her for 22 whole seconds before another minute-long cutscene. Controller for 28 seconds. Then it's a short cutscene. 18 seconds. Of control, 38 seconds of a cutscene. Then you control her for 34. Here's the longest period you get to move with her controlling it. 34 seconds. Goes to 2-minute 25. Ends with a 2-minute 25 second cutscene. So I didn't total up, but basically in 14 minutes you control the character for about a minute and a half. And I was like so frustrated because all this shit's supposed to be happening before this thing. People are trying to get out and get away, and it just constantly stops you from playing the game. And it's a lot of minor stuff. Oh, there's this girl. Anybody that's watched a fucking superhero movie or something. Oh, there's this girl. Oh, now I got to pick her up. I got to carry her for 8 seconds. Watch another cutscene. And it's what Terrell said. It's the game's 75% padding. So that's what I want to talk about. And this is one form of it. Was basically it's a 14-minute cutscene with letting you just hold the forward on the analog stick for about a minute something, you know? And it's like it's a way to make the game feel longer is what I feel like. Because who cares about this random girl you have to, pick up and walk slowly, that's about 3 minutes of the 14 minutes right there. So
is it a little girl?
well, if you're looking for Marlene, this is just some random girl.
Oh, that's worse. What?
Because stuff's crashing from above, and so you pick her up, and now you have to walk like fucking Batman on a phone call, slow walk for I forget how many. That one's like, I don't know, 8. No, that one's a little bit longer. I think that was one of the 20-second ones.
Oh, they drug it out. They drug that.
Yeah.
I didn't think you could drug that anymore. Oh no!
And then you got to talk to the lady, the neighborhood watch lady, for like 30
the character
seconds.
that was made for the game.
And then you go walk, and then something explodes, and then another cutscene. So it's just like, what are they doing? And that's not even, in my opinion, the worst of the padding is the navigation. So you have anywhere you're going, it's nowhere near even open world. And I think some reviews try to even hint that there was some open world sections. No, it's completely linear. You have ladders, and you have gaps. We all love these. I don't know when it started, 7th gen, where you have to squeeze through a gap with your character, and the camera follows you slowly, squeezing through. You have those and ladders almost everywhere you go.
That's why they do that shit.
I know it's for loading, but it doesn't feel in a couple spots. It doesn't feel like, because you're in you're in a big area, and you can see like everywhere where you're going, nothing loads, and it's just constantly ladders, constantly squeezing, constantly, and it's like, I know you don't have a puzzle here. You're trying to make getting around almost a puzzle-like, but it's just time-consuming and annoying. Like there's nothing to figure out. There's nothing to, have to solve. It's just getting there is what takes a long time. And I'm just like, my God. So I was trying to think of other games and other techniques for padding, and this to me is so obvious that it's to extend the length of the game, whereas other games you never know what the reasoning could be. But I don't know. I guess I kind of listed a few things that they used for padding. One of them's backtracking or a fetch quest late in the game. I think, was it Recore? Somebody was talking about had a ridiculous fetch quest at the end. Wind Waker, notorious for the Triforce 8 pieces quest at the end. Obviously that's to pad the game because they cut dungeons out, and it was, there wasn't a whole lot to do. So I don't know other examples if you guys can think of any games that stand out to you the most when it comes to padding, where it definitely feels like it's just to make the game feel longer.
I always felt like I remember Xenoblade Chronicles 2 when you have the certain characters need certain
you gotta have the
points, and all it is just to like go up like a ladder, so like go up something, and it was just like, so now I gotta go to this market to give him this guy's book so he could read a book, and then so you could go up the damn thing.
Yeah, Terrell, you remember what that was?
Come fucking on, what was that?
What was that called? Those those abilities you needed.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the blade skills, like where they
where you give them either
you had to have a blade with a certain they had to have like
it would be then they
the affinity. They're like their favorite.
Well, you could have like 3 different blades of level 1 to get you to 3, or you could have one blade that's at level 3.
Oh yeah.
Part about that shit is it only counted the blades that you had on you. It didn't. I mean, in your party. It didn't count the ones you also had in reserve on you already. It was only the ones that you actually had equipped.
So you had to go look through all your blades and look to hopefully find somebody with a level 2 of that thing.
Yeah, that was the way you did.
Field skills.
Field skills. There we go.
Usually I was good enough where I didn't have to go backtrack or anything, but sometimes
and then it's like
times where I was like, no, dude, I'm so far into this area. I don't want to go back. Are you kidding me?
The reward wasn't even that good a lot of the times, No,
but there was one time where it was legit progress.
It was progress. Yep. So I don't think they did that though to extend the length of the game. I think they just did that to try to get you to use the blades and try to.
I don't know, man. At that point, like I had to backtrack this giant amount just to go back.
You can call that bad game design or inconvenience, but I wouldn't call that.
Yeah, I don't think they did that to try to lengthen a 100-hour game.
That's a shitty fucking design.
I guess.
I think it wouldn't bother me so much if they had just easily changed it to where it read your whole team of blades.
Yeah, that would make it.
Because most people had all the blades they needed.
So you had to build your team around.
for like half the shit that you use that for, you didn't even get really anything out of it. It's like a
I know.
chest with like maybe like
Oh,
two common cores and some gold. Like what the fuck? It's not even more.
Well,
Like,
half the time, most of the time, it was used to progress the story. Like you literally
Yeah, sometimes there
couldn't
was.
get out of an area unless you did it, and I was like,
Yeah, that's why you had to back.
oh
So I
shit.
remember I had to. There was the one time where I had to backtrack all the way to this other location, and I was like, oh, and so I had to buy the
No,
guy a book.
listen,
I just hate that I had to buy a guy a book. I thought it was I gotta buy a guy a fucking book.
I know what you're talking
What's he
about
reading?
because
Why is he reading right now? What do you mean? Like,
oh, you're talking about because you unlocked the level 2 of that skill. That way it would
probably
count.
something.
Yeah,
It
I
would
had to
count
look
more
up
towards it.
how to
Yeah.
upgrade some field skills. So
Yeah, I
Oh
had to
no,
look at
listen,
the location.
RPGs,
I had to look at the
JRPGs are really
location.
notorious for their padding. I think the worst thing is the fake out ending, which is oh, you're at the end of the game, and then oh shit, no, you're only a third of the way through. Now it's time for a completely different quest that has nothing to do with the main story. Oh, now we're back to the main plot, and you're just like,
need to die.
that shit is like one of the worst fucking things. Because I hate when you get like 50 or 40 hours into a game. You're only halfway done. What? Why?
Yeah, I mean, my big thing definitely was recore, like you were saying, where literally you had to get prismatic cores, and I was like, all ready to get to the final place, and then it had like a ridiculous number of prismatic cores that like normally no person's actually going to have, and you're like, shit, are you kidding me? Now I got to go around and just try to find more, and like, fuck, and it's hours long of just trying to find more cores, and then when you get there, it's a glitchy mess, the ending area, and just pain in the ass. But
wasn't
that's a
Jet
different
Force
story.
Gemini have something
I
like
was just
that?
gonna say, don't take mine
I'm
because I have
I'm
two
setting
games.
you up.
You set me up. I got two games. Now, they could be. You could say they're bad design or they're padding. I'd probably say they're a little bit of both. Number one, well, not number one, but the first one I want to talk about is, there's two games from the N64, both from Rare, sadly. First one I'm the one to talk about is Donkey Kong 64.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Good God, you got only certain bananas and certain what do you call them? Certain bananas, certain weapons, certain things you can only collect as certain monkeys. So you have to be lanky to get this. You got to be Daisy to get this. You can't collect it if you're not the right ape at the right time. And I'm like, this is kind of bullshit. So I don't know if it's, again, because they had games like that before where you do a lot of collecting, like Banjo-Kazooie, but you didn't have to play as 4 different freaking apes and go around and collect 4 different types of bananas and 4 different types of what's those things called, the because
Clocked
that
it
little
would know.
lemur character, the diagrams, what are they fucking called? Schematics or some shit you had to collect.
The blueprints?
The blueprints, thank you. The blueprints, you got to collect them as all certain. It was insane. Yeah. But I think
the main thing that makes that one so bad, because you're comparing it to Banjo-Kazooie, for example, as the Donkey Kong was a lot smaller. Yeah. And that's why they padded it by adding so much more in every level. Like they had to change in every ape. It's like you don't.
The worlds were smaller little worlds.
Yeah.
So I would agree that was straight up padding. Now this one may not be padding, but it kind of is, but it kind of isn't. Probably just a bad decision. And like Juice is about to say, Jet Force Gemini, you play through that whole goddamn game. You see these little teddy bear people. You're saving some. Some of them get shot up and die. You do your best. You try to save as many as you can because you feel bad seeing them blow up, looking like little. They're basically Ewoks and shit. And you go through the whole goddamn game, literally the whole game. You go through every damn level. You got Juno, you got Vela, and you got Lupus the dog, and you've gone through the whole game. And Homeboy is like, you know what? I need you to go back and save every fucking teddy bear person before I give you this part so you can go to fight the bad guy. And I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. Could you not have told me that earlier? Like, why wait until the end of the goddamn game? Literally the end of the game. You fight, because I beat every level. You go through all these levels. You fought all the bosses. There's no bosses to fight or anything like that. All you are doing now is going through each of these levels again, trying to make sure you save every teddy. I think they're called teddies, right? and you know, sometimes they're set up behind these fucking explosive barrels and shit. They troll you.
So if they die, you have to start over.
You got to start over. Yeah, if you die, if somebody dies, you got to go back through the fucking door and come back again to restart the level. It's bullshit. That's the only thing, and it's a huge thing about that game that probably turned a lot of people off to beating it. But I enjoyed it because I just love that world anyway, so I had no problem going back through it. And sometimes you have abilities that you couldn't reach certain teddies. They're not teddies. I think teddies is from Conquerors. Forget what they're called. And I don't know why they like teddy bears and shit. Some of those rare kind of teddy bears. They're just weird about stuff. But yeah, so you get new abilities like Juno can rocket boost, or the dog could you know, gliding, all that kind of stuff. So you do get to see new areas to some extent, but it's just like, really, I could have just been doing this the whole time, and then now I have to literally go back to the first level and
That's
go
crazy.
through it.
You basically have to 100% the game.
2 or 3 different characters, because you have 3 different characters in the game. So certain characters can only reach certain spots. So you got to go through. It's bullshit. It's kind of bullshit.
I actually have
it's padding. It's definitely padding.
I have a different example of padding. It's one that personally pisses me off always. And I know why it's done. I know usually it's to expand on the lore or whatever. But I fucking hate it when games do that. And the ones that instantly come to mind is The Elder Scrolls and Control. I don't like it when games give you 100,000 pages of shit to read that I don't want to read. And like The Elder Scrolls, for example, you have like hundreds of full books that are like dozens and dozens of pages each, and I'm sitting there like, I don't want to read. Sometimes like, okay, fine, maybe I just read a few pages because it doesn't feel like I'm missing out. But you're reading that shit and you're thinking to yourself, why am I reading this shit? I'm wasting my time. I want to play the fucking game and shit. And Control has it too. There's others too, but like there's just all these fucking files that only serve as like assets to power up shit, but everything has like pages and pages of shit, and you're reading it, and it's like, I don't want to read this. It's just boring stuff that's literally telling me what's right there, and like it's really in such an amount where like half the time when you're playing the game, you're just fucking reading shit in a game that's not even point and click, where you shouldn't have to fucking read that much shit.
You don't
I'm glad you brought that up, because the game I just beat did that same shit. I'm talking about Quantum Break, obviously, and I mean, I guess the game has padding because it does have like 4 like television episodes you have to watch. And
they're long too.
That's padding.
Well, sadly, that's the best part of the game.
Damn. Jesus Christ.
But what Juice was saying about, you know, controlling a character for 5 seconds, that kind of shit, that shit happens in fucking Quantum Break 2. And it leads up to you making a decision, a choice on which, you know, your character, whatever, you know, a character that you don't even play as. It's usually the bad guy, like the antagonist. You control him for 5 seconds to walk through a freaking room and make a decision, and that's supposedly supposed to change the outcome of the game. I don't really think it does. I think all the episodes are set, so it doesn't really affect the episodes.
Well, is that fake kind of choice? You have a choice, but you actually don't really have a choice.
And it's you know, but I was gonna say about you talking about reading Elder Scrolls. There's emails and stuff. You got to tap into people's computers. There's email, all this shit, and that shit is way more interesting than the goddamn game. I'm like, I'm reading one of the characters' backstories. Like, she travels back in time, and she basically has to live for 10 years up until the time where the big event happens in the game. And so her life is shit for like 10 years in this game. But that's all off screen. Like, you see her like brooding and shit, but you read this fucking log. I think it's her diary. And it's like, this shit is super interesting. Why isn't this shit in a cutscene in the goddamn game? Why do I have to read the email or a fucking diary entry to get that cool? I would have never got that backstory had I not sat there and decided to actually read it. Because you see her brooding, and you're like, what's, you know she's been through some shit. And you're like, God damn, I want to read what her diary says about. She says a little bit of what the diary says, but it's so much better. Well, I'm like, put that shit in the fucking cutscene.
That reminds me. That reminds me of Breath of the Wild, though. You read Robbie's journal and
Yeah. Oh
Pura.
yeah.
And it's really interesting, but I bet you most
Yeah.
people didn't. And I will
Most people
say,
eat that shit.
controls almost 100% of it's just completely optional, random stuff. Like if you're not into it, you could skip it. I don't know why my camera looks like low res.
I have an example, and I think Juice will get a kick out of it
Go
because
ahead.
it's a Sonic based.
I'm hearing an echo too, by the way. Somebody's.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
I'm
probably
hearing
me.
an echo.
I do
That's
hear
probably
it.
me. How's that?
Testing.
Yeah, it's good.
And they were good. The one I have, and there's a particular Sonic game I'm thinking of when I say this, is a game that for some reason or another chooses in the middle of its gameplay to throw a completely different style of gameplay at you and say you got to beat the level like this of a gameplay style you've never played. Now, the game I'm specifically referring to is Unleashed. Now, Unleashed is different in the way that Unleashed literally did it because they thought a straightforward Sonic game that where you just did level to level would be too fucking quick, and they didn't want the game to be too short, which is why we got what I like to call Hedgehog of War, and we essentially got all these fucking levels where you play as a stretchy arm werewolf Sonic, and I was like, and I don't absolutely hate these levels. But my God, it's one of those things where I'm running down a level, and then what makes it worse is depending on what version you play. Like if you play the Wii version, you get twice as many of these motherfuckers. So it's like, okay, I just finished like 2 levels as daytime Sonic, normal, straight back to like front to forward gameplay. Then I turn the corner. Oh, there's about 6 werehog levels, and it doesn't make it any better that he's slower, and you have to beat up all these. It does that. Oh, that's another thing. The fucking lock you in a room with enemies and you can't leave the room until all the enemies are beaten trope. I hate that shit because it's obvious the only reason why you do that is because you want to drag this shit out. When I can easily bypass a lot of these enemies, nah, son, you need to beat every one of them. And fucking Unleashed does that shit all the time. I'd be ready to get to the end of the level. Oh wait, here's a locked door. The fucking walls come down. 20 enemies, beat them.
Yeah, fuck that. I hate that shit.
That is that's one of my words. I hate that shit. Oh Lord.
All right,
Well,
let me.
I got one more
Okay.
of padding. I forgot about this one also. It's also kind of a retro like this one. It's a Metroid Prime 2 Echoes, where it's not like a big deal because I really enjoyed it. I'm like retro, so but like at the end when you're going to the Sky Temple. And you collect like 9 keys or whatever throughout the whole journey, and then at the end you're ready to go to the Sky Temple, and they're like, by the way, you need to collect 9 keys to enter the Sky Temple. Wait, what, bro? I just collected 9 keys. I gotta collect another 9 keys that are scattered around the whole world again? Ah, shit. All right, I'll be back.
Yeah, that's definitely padding.
You
right
gotta
there.
go back, and then you have to go find 9 keys to open the one place when you already got 9
withholding
keys.
information for no other reason than to inconvenience you.
And like,
Stupid.
don't get me wrong, at least you have your full suits, you're able to do stuff, but it's fun, but
it doesn't serve them any purpose not to tell you that shit in advance. That's my issue.
Yeah,
Fucking
Alright, so-
sword has some goddamn padding too.
Yeah, I just remembered one of the padding techniques, and I want you guys, as soon as I say this, just say the first game that pops into mind. I already kind of mentioned one, but forced slow walking segments where you cannot run, you can't do it. It's just forced slow walking segments.
Oh, Batman, Final Fantasy. Those are the first 2 come by.
Well, it's a lot of Naughty Dog games for sure.
Uncharted.
I was thinking Metroid Other M.
Oh, really? Why?
Unfortunately, I hate it because Metro Other M got that from other games, and I'm so
I barely
pissed.
remember that game, so
I remember it because you couldn't because I was emulating what other games were doing at the time. So it's this fucking, let me walk through the area to get to this section where the cutscene would trigger, and then you had to fight a boss. I like Elder M, but holy shit, hate that shit.
Yeah, that's pretty annoying, and a bunch of games do it now. I mean, yeah, The Last of Us.
Sometimes you could do it to set atmosphere, but at the same time, you also know what you're really doing. Retro said, "Fuck that."
You ran Retro off talking
Yeah.
bad about
also, that also works with kind of like no fast travel, so like Final Fantasy 15, you can only fast travel till you get to that location. So you go in your car and you just sit there and you can't do anything. Like you're not really driving it, so you're just kind of sitting there watching them watching the world.
Yeah,
and
that's
then you could
be one thing if it was a
Grand
cool
Theft Auto 5 does it
driving
a lot.
around. Yeah. So the one that I wouldn't say it's not padding to the main part of the story of the game, the main part of the game, but it's padding in a way to have it have the same amount of stars as the previous game, and that's Super Mario Sunshine. I know we debate about this, but if you don't have time to make legit 120 stars or shines, then just leave it at 80 or whatever the number was. That bullshit. Well, because the last game had 120 and you guys are expecting 120, here's a bunch of blue coins scattered in levels, not just in the world. Each time you play every level, so every shine, the blue coins are in a completely different spot, and you don't know which ones you got. So the only way, and this is just for completion, but to me they should have just left it at however many shines they had.
Yeah.
To add this, I never did it and I never will. You would have to go back into every single level one at a time, scour the entire, because some levels would be the same, world, but the next level would be a different path you could take, and the blue coins were in a different spot in each level. So you have to play every single level and scour every corner of every level, and it was just like, nah. As soon as I realized that, I just stopped. I did it for the first couple levels. I said, I'm done. But that didn't affect.
Got to do a guide. Just got to look it up in a guide.
At that point,
why would Banjo-Kazooie get that shit better than the Mario Sunshine? As far because when they hide shit, it's leading you to a certain path. It's like leading you. Oh, here's some other shit over here that I didn't even notice because I'm following these coins or I'm following these the feathers or whatever that shit is. The feathers in that game are laid out to lead you to a path that, there's a secret over here. And they were just indiscriminately thrown all over the fucking place. And those blue coins and Sunshine. And that's very
I can understand people have like this problem with like those blue coins and shit. But if you're actually starting to refer like in Super Mario games as padding, like, come on, the Odyssey shit when it added 200 fucking moons that you just have to randomly buy from a store, like, don't put that in the game. Like, that's
I would call it padding though, because you don't have to do that.
Actually,
you don't have to do that.
That's what padding is. You don't have to do it. It's
that's not what padding is.
What you have to do in the goddamn
padding is what you have to do.
That's why it's padding.
Yeah,
but
that's why I specified or Sunshine's not necessarily.
Even to get all 180 unique moons, you don't have to buy. You don't have to buy 100.
But they did add.
I didn't know you guys meant with padding that you like
coins.
That you have to do it obligatory, because then none of the shit I mentioned before even counts. The Elder Scrolls and
that's why I said control is completely optional.
If I'm thinking of something you have to do that I feel is totally padding, one of the first things that come to mind is fucking Twilight Princess, where they had no idea what to do with the wolf. So here's like 500 levels of gathering all these goddamn tears.
Yeah.
Like that, I instantly think of that shit.
That's padding.
It's so much padding and so unoriginal that they did it again in Skyward Sword. Like it's the same fucking thing again.
Padding galore in that motherfucking game.
And those two games came after the game. I think Wind Waker had the most padding because it was it had the least amount of content. Well, maybe Majora's Mask is a little bit less I guess. There's a lot of side quests, but it didn't. But Wind Waker's like, you got all these islands and stuff, but a lot of them there wasn't really any incentive, and they, it's been talked about a million times. They had to cut a couple dungeons, so you get to a point in the game, and it's like, you got to find these, like I mentioned earlier, the Triforce pieces, and then you refight the same boss. I think the same 4 bosses again before the final encounter, and it's like, you take that out of the game, and it's like, I don't know what I'm gonna guess.
Yeah, we're not making this up. Like Nintendo said, they rushed those games, and it was because the GameCube wasn't selling.
Yeah, they had to get them out. So those dungeons ended up in other games, so it's not like they went to waste the concepts they had. But
although I do have a question, I'm curious. because I know the Mega Man series is known for doing this.
See you later, Roy.
Do we count boss rushes as
I was
padding?
legit gonna bring
If you
that up
have
as my
to
next
do
point
it,
as
I
well.
would.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
because
bullshit.
Because I know Mega Man does it all the fucking
Yeah.
time. Where you do all your 8 robot masters,
Yeah.
and then you have to go back and fight all of them again, and you're like,
Well, fuck.
yeah,
Hyrule Warriors does that shit too.
Star Wars does do that.
Times I gotta fight these fucking blight Ganons and shit.
Yeah.
Fight the shit out of these motherfuckers.
To be
By the
fair,
time-
Muso games I've noticed do that anyway a lot.
Well,
Where
yeah,
they
I'm
fuck-
just saying, but that's
Oh no, you're right though. It is.
those are things that stand out.
With Mega Man, I think it's annoying and it shouldn't be in there. But with Mega Man, I can accept it because the point is that you learn to control the powers, and every robot you should technically have found their weakness at that point to kill them in like 1 or 2 hits. But no matter what, those boss rushes in any game, I hate it. It's the worst
that
fucking
shit.
thing.
It's like I already beat
It's
this
not
one.
just padding; it's just unoriginal. I hate it. I think it's worse than
I
all
think
that
it's
stupid thing with
amazing
like
more
all the enemies and shit.
All
right, so
you
let's-
beat this boss. Well, how about this boss, and this boss together?
Yeah, I get that. That's
Well,
annoying.
the way but listen, y'all forget about the variation. The variation is then to fight the same bosses, but then they put 2 of them in the same room.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's something I wanted to bring up. Robert, you go ahead. I'll let.
Well, it's funny because you say that, but like one game that actually does it well though is Doom Eternal. Where Doom Eternal, you start off as bosses, you fight these bosses, and all of a sudden,
They're
an
just
hour
regular
later,
enemies.
these motherfuckers are regular enemies.
Yeah,
You're
but I don't count
you're
that
like
as-
shitting
And
your
it does
pants.
work. That does work.
You're like
out.
works
shitting your
well.
pants.
It
You're like,
does
are
work well.
you shitting
I
me?
hate that
No
asshole
way.
though. That's like you had to wait till he makes that noise, and
yeah,
anytime
yeah.
otherwise you're just wasting your shots. You have to wait.
That, or the guy that had he has the little thing under him. He's like floating and he's shooting.
Oh yeah, those...
like that shit. When you're running around, sometimes my aim was not so the greatest trying to take him out, and that gave me some frustration. So when I saw 2 of them at once, I was like, oh no, what are you doing to me? Why do you hate me? And then eventually you get it, and you're like, oh man, I got this motherfucker, and it's really fun.
T opening unboxing.
Breaking
Yeah,
He's
What is
unboxing
it?
something live, unboxing live. What is it?
Oddworld
Oddworld
Stranger.
Stranger.
Oddworld
Rat.
Stranger Rat.
Jeez.
Yeah, because I
I whirl in my damn head and shit.
You got in the mood, baby.
Yeah, both of those bad movies.
Oh damn.
Munchie's Odyssey, or
Yeah.
I can't. I bought this one because I can't play it anymore because my disc drive won't read on my original Xbox.
it's
And
not
on
backwards
right.
compatible.
compatibility, which is bullshit. Because Microsoft
Yeah.
funded that damn game, you would think they would prioritize.
Yeah. I
But
remember that.
prioritize the fucking games that are first party ish.
but
But
T,
they-
they
I remember.
got, like,
I remember one of those games had some weird drama behind it, considering originally that was a PlayStation franchise.
Yeah, it was this one. It was
Stranger's Wrath.
Munch's
No,
Odyssey.
Munches. Munches. Yeah.
But T, out of the 20 like original Xbox games, 5 of them are Star Wars. So it's like, damn. that's
Wait, we forgot the biggest padding
we
of
got an
all.
update.
What?
Like Terrell and I have mentioning it a lot. The stupid bullshit they did in Bravely Default in the first
Oh,
one.
you're talking about the stupid.
Oh, for-
That's another. I don't know how. The best way I can describe that is another. Oh, you. That one's weird because I think that one just straight up lies to you. I think like
Yeah,
the whole
that's
premise.
why.
Is, yeah, it's
Straight
like
up
literally
lie.
like, oh shit, you fucked up. Go do it again, and you do it again, and you still fuck up, and
You
you're like,
still
wait a
fucked
minute. I think the way you get out of the loop is to actively ignore what they're saying.
Yeah, like if you hadn't told me that, I would have been looping this shit for like a year.
Yeah,
I stopped
like,
playing because of
I don't
this
know
shit.
how to describe what that.
That's
I-
interesting.
Straight bullshit.
I think
right
that's
there.
called misdirection. I think that's literally just misdirection. And I'm like, you piece of shit. And then to be fair, when you get past it and the title screen will change for you, and the title screen makes perfect sense. I'm not gonna spoil it, but it's fucking hilarious.
So let's wrap up this padding discussion by stating what do you think is the worst form of it, because I can sit through some cutscenes. I ain't gonna lie. Final Fantasy VII, when I brought that little girl to the lady, I just skip. I hit start, hit skip. I don't give a shit. It has nothing to do. I need to get to Marlene. I don't care about this random child that I've never seen before. Anyway, for me, the most annoying part is when I'm controlling the character, but I can't run. I can only like go where it wants me to go. It's like, why am I even controlling this character? So I think for me the most annoying is the slow walking sections where you just can't. You're forced to hold up on the stick, basically for no reason because to listen to dialogue.
I'm gonna agree with that. I'm just gonna piggyback on it a little bit. I hate the fact that Final Fantasy VII Remake is a good example, actually. A game that does that shit as soon as you get out of battle mode, your entire moveset changes. So what always ticks me off is like sometimes in Final Fantasy VII, you'll finish a battle, go right into a cutscene, and then you're stuck in the walking animation. But you have a run button that just refuses to work.
Yeah.
In that specific instance, and you're just like, why are you giving me a run button then? If I'm always caught in fucking in between cutscenes, you piece of shit. I hate that. I absolutely.
It's basically a cutscene, but you have to hold up on the stick, and it's in-game visuals instead of CGI or whatever.
And to be fair, it's not just Final Fantasy. Batman Arkham Asylum was notorious for that shit, where it's like we got to do that that slow walk into the asylum and watch them take Joker through the level. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, yeah, Oracle, talk to me.
Do you think it stems from the Call of Duty single players where they start off, like Call of Duty 4 started off where you could look around and you're driving through this in Afghanistan, wherever you were, the Middle East. And it was cool in that game because I'm like, all right, I feel like I'm part of this. I'm getting ready for this, this action. And I don't know if that started it, but it definitely feel it kicked it into high gear because Wolfenstein, the New Order or whatever, does that constantly in the first 5 hours I played. I was like, oh my God, like stop. Like
I feel like it started in a good place. Like, oh, here's a little bit more immersiveness in your game.
Yeah, immersive thing. Yeah.
But like it just now it's become a crutch.
Everybody does it, and it's just like
the worst part about that auto walking stuff is that if they do it because there's dialogue, but then if you're auto walking too fast, it cuts off the dialogue and starts off another part of the dialogue, so you miss half it because you were auto walking too fast.
Yeah, because like you have the option. Like, give an example. Yakuza, for example, will let me walk faster than the guy I'm following, supposedly, right? But I still can't do anything until the guy gets there.
Mm-hmm.
That's so fucking annoying.
And I'm like, what? And I almost feel like, and I can't tell, is that worse or better than just walking, being stuck in a slow walk?
Yeah.
Because to me, if I can run to the destination but I can't trigger the cutscene, I'm just sitting there running in circles waiting for the fucking guy to get there.
And so much in Quantum Break, I'll fucking start walking and I'll like outpace the fucking chick who's with me or whatever, and I'll get to the door and she's like, "Can you help me with this?" I'm like, "Bitch, I've been here." And then I have to reposition myself to the exact position that she's happy that, I can help her with it. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Retro, you'll have to confirm this because you got Days Gone behind you. I got to Iron Mike's, what do you call it, camp. And he wanted me, he's like, walk with me, Deacon. And I think it's one of those games where if you stop walking, it'll say too far away from Mike, failed mission or something. I don't know if that actually happened because I didn't do it. But is that one of the... I don't feel like I was forced to walk right with him, but I feel like as soon as I got too far away, it said out of mission zone or something.
Something Days Gone does, and I hate it when games do that, is that even if you have a map and stuff, if you kind of go outside of it, I have it in my video. I just uploaded a Days Gone video where I'm fighting a horde, and at one point I just wanted to walk a little bit around a tree. It says you're leaving the mission. I'm like, it's an open world. There's no fucking mission zone. I hate it when games do that.
Does that, if I remember right.
Doesn't
GTA do that? Where you like if you go
lots of games
too far out of range, it'll be like, you failed the mission, and you're like
timer counting down and shit.
Yeah, and you're like, motherfuckers, I have to. It's like you gave me an open world, and I still gotta do this straight line.
Well, you got to follow a helicopter on a motorcycle, and I veered off. And I lost the path. I'm like, where's this motorcycle? And it's just failed the mission, which happens in 100 games that I've played over the years. But
I just think that's bad design.
That's just kind of a random thing.
World? Yeah, just a minor gripe.
Any last thoughts on game padding? We've covered it quite a bit.
I mean, my big thing, I think the biggest thing for me personally is bad backtracking. Like that usually takes hours for me, So to me, that's like the biggest offender. Would that be with the bad for me?
And when you say bad backtracking, I always think of Skyward Sword first. When you go back to the Elden Volcano, I'm like, I I was so mad that I had to do
Well,
that.
one more backtrack example I can give for a quick second that is that I feel like people forget because it's the holy grail is Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door, and motherfuckers, shit is so stupid. So you have to literally you're trying to find this bomb, right? You're in this one location,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
You're trying to find this bomb guy, and you go to every single area in the game. You go back to everyone. You have to ask, "Where's he at? Where's he at?" And you go to every single area of the game, and then you go back to where you were from the beginning, where you left 2 hours ago, and he's actually sleeping in some room, and you have to wake him up. And I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I mean, like legit, it's like 2 hours. It's only 2 hours, and you have to go every single day, and then you go back to where you were, and he was there the whole time. Why can't what? Where's the good game design? That was so stupid.
Yeah.
That was stupid.
Backtracking could be its own.
That one you can tell was meant for comedy. And,
it's meant
and
for
as
comedy, but not for a 2-hour joke.
Yeah,
a 2-hour joke.
The punchline, when the punchline is at your expense, is like, yeah.
I was like, what the fuck was that? I'm like, dude, those 2 hours of this game is me just going back.
Like Watch Dogs 1, and you like for the most part of the game, you fucking avoid the driving because it's the worst shit in the goddamn game. And then at the end, you have to be a fucking expert motorcyclist.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned before.
Out of nowhere, you got to be like this fucking. I'm talking about super precise timing on turns and everything.
Really?
That's what I mentioned before. When they make a side game activity.
Yeah, like what the fuck?
Like that's integral for you to beat the game, and you're like, "Well, bitch, I only played like 3 levels. You joking? Like, what are we doing?"
I barely drove in this shitty driving ass game.
Yeah, like you don't have
as the final mission. Fuck you.
Yeah, say.
All right, so
it's game variety.
I feel like we could talk about backtracking for a whole podcast. Maybe we will someday.
Backtracking.
The next thing I wanted to talk about, I was mentioning a little bit in the group chat this morning, something that I'm excited about, and I feel like we're finally getting what was promised. I don't think the 360 PS3 generation was really trying to promise 60 frames per second, but I know the 8th gen, they were trying to spin like that was going to be the case. And maybe it ends up not being the case, but so far, from what I'm seeing, is we're off to a good start in this new generation, and I love it because I'm playing Days Gone. It's cross-gen, but they added the 60 frames per second and the 4K option on the PS5. Immortals, I'm playing at 60. Astra's Playroom was 60. Demon Souls, Miles Morales. Has 60 option. Now Returnal comes out this week. Looks freaking just fast and smooth. Everyone's talking about how great the controls are, how fluid the game is. In Ratchet and Clank, they confirmed there's a 60 frames per second option. Halo Infinite, Halo's always been 60. But I feel like 7 months in, the future's looking bright, and I don't want to jinx it, but I really feel like this could finally be. In Resident Evil 8, that's 60 frames per second. And looks gorgeous. So I'm just like, it's hard for me. I went back to Horizon, and there's no PS5 patch, and I just immediately turning the camera and moving. It just doesn't feel the same. And but I don't know. This isn't gonna be a long topic, but I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on the prospect that we might actually have like a 60 frames per second standard
generation. I would be stunned if we don't, because these shits are powerful, man. These are some powerful ass consoles. Like I feel like you gotta be doing something wrong if you're not hitting 60.
Because
I mean, I can understand if it's like let's say Naughty Dog, how they do The Last of Us Part 2. Like I can understand The Last of Us Part 3, whatever they make. Like they push the juices out of the Sony's console. I could see them still being 30 maybe, but like maybe even then maybe, but well, I'm talking about like any of their whatever the next game is. Like they're gonna they. I mean, look.
Well, here's the difference though.
How the Part 2, The Last of Us Part 2 runs on a base PS4.
4K.
I know, but that's what's crazy.
Well, here's the difference though. Here's the big difference. The PS4 and Xbox One were notorious to have like basically mobile phone CPUs, and that's where a lot of the frame rate stuff happens because with AI and all, and physics and everything going. And the fact that they have pretty legit. And then if you look at the games that have come out, Demon Souls is a remake, but it was built I'm assuming built from day one as a PS5 game. The 30 frames per second option doesn't even look that much better. It's not like this massive difference. Now, if a game's developed from the ground up for 30, like said Naughty Dog, maybe they could push visuals like can't even imagine right now. But at the same time, just like I was surprised Returnal was 60 frames per second at native 4K, looking as good as it does. And Ratchet and Clank, we haven't seen the gameplay at 60, but I imagine it's going to still look pretty damn good.
Well, I think it's going to look identical. Essentially, I'd be surprised.
It's not just power; they're just well designed machines.
And the game engines too are getting more efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, I mean, given the fact that I was thinking actually Yakuza is one of them where you have the 60 frames per second option, and then you have the higher resolution. But if I'm being honest with you, I literally could not tell the difference, and usually I could. So I don't know if it's just slight. Maybe it's 1440 to 4K. Maybe it's that. It's super slight, maybe. But regardless, I would take the 60 frames per second by any chance. It's a massive difference. It's so buttery smooth to you go drop that down. It's oh shit, that's a huge difference when you see. And so as long as they always have the option, that's the big thing is that these things are essentially PCs give you the option. So
that's the other thing too. I'm happy with the option. They don't give me the choice. And like I've said 100 times, The Last of Us Remastered, I had the native 4K option, and it's a PS3 game, so even it's not like it looks great at native 4K, but the 60 frames per second made such an improvement to that game specifically. And then God of War, the PS4 Pro version, there was a 1080p 60, and it's just you just immediately could tell, and it just feels right. I don't know how else to say it. It almost makes.
Your turn, Nintendo. What you gonna do?
Hey man, they got some 60 FPS.
The funny thing is, some games on the Switch do give you the option, but again, it's not Nintendo. Like a Darksiders Remastered, for example, that they did. You can choose between 60 FPS or higher graphics, and of course, I'm going for the 60 FPS. Shit's buttery smooth. Why would you not choose that?
And for a game
I think some people are just, how can you not choose it? Even any game, you're like, what are you doing?
Performance, man.
I noticed it a fuckload because I just finished Age of Calamity completely, and then I picked up Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition again, and look, the combat in Age of Calamity is so much better. I miss the combat. I miss being able to counter and all that stuff. But I'm playing Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition, and it's so smooth, and I instantly can't believe how actually smooth that game fucking runs. You miss it instantly. You miss that smooth frame rate. You notice it, especially in those really busy games. Nobody is gonna sit there nah, man, give me that 30 FPS jaggy shit so that my lines are a bit
cinematic.
More
Retro,
cinematic. Frames per second is more cinematic.
Well, I was saying Final Fantasy VII. I don't think 60 FPS would make a difference because you can't jump around. You can't do anything. It's the combat. It feels more turn-based than anything. I constantly hitting R2 to bring up a menu and slow it, and it stops the combat. So I don't think that game would really really make a difference for something like that.
Yeah, but with Final Fantasy 15, when I played it on PS5, I was you have the two options, and I saw it at 60, and then I went to I guess it was 4K 30, and you just see the hit, and you're no way.
Yeah, I guess I didn't have the option, but
also I just realized I looked it up. Apparently, Yakuza Like a Dragon it's 1440p at 60, and then high resolution.
See,
4K at 30.
I mean, that already 1440p is
dude.
Nice
that's why I couldn't tell the difference. It's so minimal.
It's
It's so
okay,
minimal. It's literally so minimal, dude. That I was I can't even tell. I can't see the difference. So
on PC though, because my computer monitor, it's not a TV. It's not really. It doesn't have the circuitry built in to handle downscaling. It's a monitor. It's just made for getting it's best viewed at its native 1440p. My OLED has advanced chipset that can handle downscaling. It does a way better job. So when I'm playing on PC, and I know Terrell and I, we kind of talked about this a bit, where for me on my old graphics card to hit 60, I had to go down to 1080. There's just no way around it. For like Shadow of the Tomb Raider and Hellblade, and seeing it at below native resolution for me wasn't worth it. Sometimes, for some games, especially Hellblade, really the 60 isn't that crucial. So I opted for the 1440p a lot of times. It just looks so much cleaner. But by the last half of Shadow of the Tomb Raider, I was like, what, fuck it, I'm going down 1080, and I played the whole rest of the game at 1080 60. Because I just finally gave in, and it did feel better that way. So I just like the option. I like what we're seeing so far. I'm hoping, Microsoft's gonna, with some of their bigger games coming, we'll stick to that if it's necessary. Like I said, I don't think Final Fantasy VII would be much different with it. I think it's getting 60 on the PS5 version. I'm not sure, but I'm just like, I was watching previews for Returnal, and Game Explain popped up. I don't know when they start covering PlayStation stuff. Is it just
once I think a lot of people when
the other guys left,
the new hires, they started expanding on different platforms.
Because I wasn't gonna just sit down and watch something, but it popped up, so I just put it on my TV, and I was just like doing stuff around the house. And I think they had like the first 45 minutes on Game Explain, and I come back into the room. I wasn't really paying that much attention, and I started watching it, and I was like, damn, like that is fluid. Like I'm just happy to see that's becoming a standard, and I think it's hopefully continues.
Well, yeah,
all these pesky Nintendo reviewers, they want to get paid, so they need to dive more into PlayStation.
Well, that's the other thing too. The Switch, Nintendo used to be the 60 FPS king on the Wii U. Like that was. I remember Digital Foundry would always just praise them. Man, look at what they're doing, and they're always targeting 60 most of the time. And now it's like, I don't even think it's 50-50 unless you get on.
No way.
On my Discord, in the Discord, somebody made this list of 60 FPS games. But a bunch of them were actually only 30. But like Mario 35, was on there. Good Job was on there. I'm just like. Really?
The job does look nice to you.
one, two switch or whatever. Snippet.
No, it wasn't even games you would think. There was games that he assumed were, and it's like I looked it up, watched the graph. Nope, 30. If you're lucky, So it's like Nintendo was the king, and now they're struggling to do 60.
But the Switch has all these 60 FPS games. You got Tropical Freeze, you got Mario Kart,
Bayonetta
8 and stuff.
Yeah, man.
And that it's like I don't know, once you play a game like Rocket League on Switch, they added a 1080p 30 frames per second option. I tried it, and I was like, instantly, it was such a downgrade to the experience. Yeah. And then I must have turned off the game, and I forgot to switch it back. So then I was playing, it was T and Cray, I think were playing. And I'm like, man, I am sucking as my internet. And I'm like resetting the Switch, and I fucking look, and I was on the 30 frames per second option. I was like, oh my God, it was just.
It's not worth it.
And it didn't even look that much better.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I tried that too on Rocket League when I did that. It doesn't even look that much better, and it's not even just 30 FPS. It's like it barely fucking runs anymore.
Yeah, it was trash. So.
Well, that's why something like especially those high competitive games, those fast paced multiplayer games. Those it's almost you need 60.
Yeah,
outside of PC, that kind of thing started on the N64 with the expansion pack. When you got the high res mode versus performance, basically. And high res mode never worked out well
it didn't.
On the N64. It was always chug-a-lugging like a motherfucker.
Yeah, 4 megabytes of RAM wasn't enough, and it can't fix frame rate. It could handle the higher resolution, but it couldn't handle it at a decent frame rate.
Also, I don't want to hear fucking Mario 35. By the way, on that list, this is a very late reaction because you can say that shit runs at 60 FPS, but when I played that shit last time before I died to make a video out of it, I died 9 times out of 10 because of input lag. Like, you can run at 60 FPS, but if my button doesn't fucking respond as fast, like, there's no point.
That was like Terrell and I playing. I was playing Bloodborne via share play. I couldn't fucking dodge roll for the life of me. Then I watched him do it like it was nothing.
That game only runs at 30. And
I couldn't. Well, that's because I was doing input lag through SharePlay. I couldn't do it. And you were trying to control the motorcycle on Days Gone. You hit so many damn trees. I had to start when I played next. I had to start 4 autosaves late before that, so my bike wasn't all destroyed, and I didn't have to waste this scrap. But yeah, so I just looked
this up on eBay because we were talking about Super Mario. So I was just curious how 3D All Stars is selling right now.
You weren't curious. You're looking at an investment.
This one isn't selling, but it says $275. It has 46 watchers.
Jesus. Maybe they're just sellers. Maybe they're just sellers trying to see what it'll go for.
46 watchers, though?
They were, you know what? All the copies at Best Buy were gone. Remember,
I think Nintendo actually went and pulled them.
I don't know, a couple months ago I looked and
it's still up on Walmart if you wanted to get it.
I didn't see the Walmart where
go online, see if they got it. But yeah, that's one thing we didn't talk. There's a lot of stuff we didn't talk about. We didn't talk about the PlayStation. They undid their they're not taking down the PS3 and Vita stores.
Very happy about that, yo.
And that's an example of
Nintendo fans say.
Yeah. I was gonna do a juice opinions of that, but I tried to cram so much gameplay in this weekend. I didn't. I was gonna do a video response to you on that. And Microsoft did that a couple months ago, where they thought they were gonna charge $120 for Xbox Live Gold, and like within 12 hours they undid that. So that was cool. And but the only thing left for Sony is that the CMOS battery.
The CMOS, yeah, that's the big thing.
Like, but SpawnWave, I don't know if it's true or not. SpawnWave said he did a bunch of research. People are thinking it's tied to trophies, which sounds like something that could be
patched out. They can
just patch it out. Regardless, it's something they can easily patch.
So hopefully they do. And I don't know if we talked about this on the podcast. I don't think we ever brought it up because I was apparently. And I don't know about the PS5 for sure or the PS4, but somebody tested Series X. You can't if you like restored the hard drive or whatever, without an internet connection, you can't start playing on Series X. It has to have, and I don't know about PS5. I don't. It's probably the same. But
the initial launch up.
Yeah. That's something that
I think the difference is. Nobody think Microsoft's going anywhere. They're the ones doing the backwards compatibility.
Mm-hmm.
You can still play on your old games. Nobody thinks the store is closing. The servers are going to be there. I think that's the difference between people's. They close down PS3, you're done. Like there's no. It's not like it's connected to the current store. So I think that's the difference.
Yeah, there just have to be a server kept alive that lets a PS3 connect to it, and
right.
For me, I would look like if I was keeping the PS4. I still have my PS4 Pro. I haven't listed it yet. I've watched a video on how to replace it. I was like, I know I could do it. I don't want to.
It's just,
if I was truly worried about it, I personally, but I'm the exception to most people wouldn't want to do this. I would, like in a year or two or whatever. If they knew the store was closing down or whatever, I would just go in, put a new battery in to get another 20 years.
Just in case.
But
just get a new battery.
And then also you replace the thermal paste because that stuff dries up. So
that's the thing that sucks though. Like,
too bad you can't just easily do it.
You can't just replace the battery because you're pulling off the fucking CPU from the motherboard, you're pulling up the thermal paste.
Mm-hmm. But that stuff dries up over time too, and it's not.
I wish you could. But, I mean, I guess while you're in there, you might as well add some new thermal paste.
But the Wii U apparently has a little door that the battery pops out of the back. I don't remember ever seeing it, but I saw a clip or a screenshot of the door on the bottom of the Wii U where you can just quickly change the
Yeah,
battery.
that's what I liked. Is that
the Saturn, the Sega Saturn has a door in the back. Pop it open, switch the fucking battery out.
So it is a poor design. This thing should be easily accessible if it can die anyway. And does it die just from being unplugged, or just will it die from over time?
It will die regardless at that.
Yeah, it's over time. Remember, some original NES games that have like saved features like Zelda, they have one of those things in there, and at some point it's just gonna die and your shit's just gonna be gone.
Yeah, because Link to the Past cartridge, I hadn't played. I have it in the box. I didn't have a Super Nintendo for like 15 years. I was surprised that the save file was still there. Like
Oh wow.
But eventually that'll be gone. So it's I don't think the Switch is going to last long enough for the battery to die. Honestly, I don't think most people's Switch is going to make it 20 years if there's a battery in there that could die. I wouldn't count on it even still working. But it's just one of those things. It's modern tech throwaway mindset of with technology these days. It's just kind of a shame, and I wish. But hopefully
it's only gonna get worse.
It's the weirdest thing because especially like you're talking about they did it with the PS3, fine, you did it once, then you did it again with the PS4, and now you're doing it again with the PS5. Like, you're literally just destroying essentially gaming preservation, like trying to preserve
right.
I mean, you're talking about that's been like for the past 2 decades, people always trying to preserve gaming history, and Sony's just like, what about it? Well, what do you mean? Who cares? and it's just like, oh, dude, what's wrong with you? Like, what's wrong? Why would you have that tied to some server or trophies? Like, why would you do that? What is wrong with
and
it?
I wonder what. I wonder. Who knows? Who the fuck knows what it's gonna be 15 years from now? Like Sony,
right.
They could be gone. They could make bad decisions and be completely gone as a company. I just wonder if there'd be somebody that. And it could be the hacking community. It could be somebody.
It's gonna be the hacking community that
saves. It'd have to be. Yeah, it'd have to be. Yeah.
Could save that shit because everything's gonna be online at that point, and hook up a PS3, go to this website, maybe install a USB stick into it.
Yeah,
there's gonna be ways around it. Just sucks.
The hacking
just sucks that you have to do that.
Turn on my fucking Dreamcast and go play fucking Phantasy Star Online. Still, these quiz, that modding hacking community. So.
All right, so let's have the discussion. The title of the podcast is "Who is the best third-party developer right now?" In our opinions, I put a couple Capcom games as the thumbnail because to me that's my answer. I don't know if you guys have come up with one. If you want to just name them and then we'll discuss them after the fact.
I would intrinsically agree. Currently, right now, Capcom is probably the best.
Why? What are you getting? Just because you're getting a fat ass in the next Resident Evil?
Hey,
we
can give the reasons later. Anybody got another game, another company they want to name before we get into
the dick?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't think there's gonna be much difference. I have to wholeheartedly disagree, and trust me, I don't. I don't like to have to do this because I've been shitting on Capcom for a while, but in the last years they've been consistently fucking good, so I can't deny that they're probably the best third party out there right now.
I would give Ubisoft some credit.
Ubisoft,
they're not bad.
And Square Enix is in there. They have
that's
some
what,
fucking
that's
misses.
what I was thinking of first, Square Enix.
Yeah.
I don't know how they move Final Fantasy and shit, but I mean, you're getting like the Final Fantasy 7 shit. They keep working on that, but apart from that, a lot of people don't like Square gets a lot of other shit too. You have Bravely. You have the Project Triangle stuff. I keep forgetting.
Yeah, but that's like the way I always view Square is that Square's B team I have no issues with whatsoever. Right. Fuck their big budget team. I don't give a fuck about.
That's what I mean. But still, if you're just talking like one, Square is both of those.
Oh no, I understand that. But like when you compare that to current Capcom in the last couple of years, I don't think Capcom's had a miss since fucking.
I don't know, man. They gave us Street Fighter 2 like 3 fucking times on the Switch already. Like, can we get maybe Street Fighter 5 at some point? I don't know.
That was the tail end of their shit. Their bad.
Yeah.
Like, look,
I'd say Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Capcom. They it's not only that they're just good. It's such a turnaround from 2017 even to what they're doing now.
That's true.
When was Marvel vs. Capcom 3 or what, the last one, whatever?
Oh, you mean Infinite? That was before that. That was like 20.
No, Infinite was
2010.
No, that was
Infinite.
Sorry.
Yeah,
that's it was the first. It was quickly forgotten. We don't even remember.
16.
Was it that late?
I thought it was 17 or 18.
Is
17.
it that late? Infinite. You know what? Fuck it. We have Google.
So here's my thought process.
Oh, where is it? I don't know.
The low point for me for Capcom, and I don't remember the other games around that, but it was Resident Evil 6 was one of the lower points.
Oh, it's 2017. You're right. Shit. That's
so
crazy.
to kind of have ruined that franchise in a lot of people's eyes. And Resident Evil 7 was a nice start, but then they had
that was a good in between.
Monster Hunter World was what, 2016, 2017.
I'm trying.
That was pretty well received.
2016.
You had the Resident Evil 2 remake was really well done. I'd say Resident Evil 3
No, that
remake
was 18. That was 2018.
Okay.
Worlds?
Yeah.
Fuck.
So and now we have Rise.
Another company that I actually recently also feel is in the top tier. Maybe not the top, but they definitely count, especially considering they were all fucking dead like 2 years ago. It's THQ Nordic. When THQ died and Nordic died, and then they come back and they combined, and then they started pumping out shit, the remasters, free upgrade for the remasters for Darksiders. The Darksiders 3, you got like Biomutant that they're doing now. THQ Nordic is pumping out so much fucking shit. And they do everything. They have like the SpongeBob shit even and stuff.
I was gonna say SpongeBob.
All over
yeah, so THQ Nordic, I think my only issue with THQ Nordic is that other than I think Darksiders, I can't think of a lot of new shit.
Right. What have they done?
Biomutant is coming out in like a month.
What is?
Biomutant. I keep fucking talking about it.
Yeah, that's one.
Doesn't mean it's out. Like we have to judge them on what they got out.
Yeah, we're judging off of what they've currently
like, oh, they don't release new shit, and then they release new shit.
The issue is that like they literally are stuck in currently the most you know them for is remakes and Darksiders.
Well, how did that Darksiders dungeon game do? How was that?
No.
Genesis did pretty decent. I think a lot of people prefer Genesis over Darksiders 3, for example.
Also, you can't throw SpongeBob at me as an example because SpongeBob I have my own personal gripes with, so that's not even.
No, the only reason I mentioned
I know why you mentioned it. I know why.
Yeah, because they're not just doing like Darksiders shit, for example.
It is a fan favorite game.
They're all over the place.
I mean, they're trying.
It's hard to put them.
They got some games coming out. I would give Ubisoft some credit, not just for supporting the Switch with day and date. You know, when the games come out, if it's coming to Switch, it's been day and date the last couple times. But being there, cross-gen support, free upgrades.
Immortals tickling your balls.
Immortals, but they did it. Assassin's Creed and Watch Dogs got free updates for PS5 and Series X.
When's the last good Assassin's Creed game?
Good DLC for Immortals.
Pretty good. I'm enjoying it.
Valhalla seems to be pretty decent.
Is Odyssey good?
I've heard, dude. I actually. So I've heard that. I mean, I haven't played, but I heard Odyssey. Those ones were like way better than like.
A lot of people like Odyssey. I haven't played it, but people seem to like it.
I want to play Odyssey still because it got rid of all the stupid history shit and it started dealing with like supernatural, mythological stuff, and that kind of tickles my balls a little bit.
I wish they just ditched the future.
Christ.
I wish they just
What have I started
for Assassin's Creed. Wish they ditched the futuristic stuff like you're going back to, and just if they would just get rid of that and just make it a historical
there's no point
setting.
And also in Valhalla.
You know, I'll give Ubisoft something else because I completely almost forgot about it. Scott Pilgrim. I'll give you that because that's
Starlink was a misfire, but it's a pretty good game. T loves it a lot.
Starlink's a misfire in terms of marketing, not necessarily in terms of game. As a game, I don't think it's bad.
They should never have made that shit toys to life. It would have done a lot better. Because a lot of people are like, man, I don't want those fucking kitty toys and shit. Like, people don't care
toys
about
life, Switch exclusive.
Robert's turn. Robert's trying to
Like,
I'm trying to say something. We
Oh,
got.
sorry, Robert.
Well, I was gonna say a few things. One, that Valhalla. What's good about Valhalla is that you could climb anywhere. So hey, Ubisoft has taken notes, dude. You could climb
Oh,
anything.
I didn't know that was
Legitimately anything.
really. I didn't know that. I
Dude,
was.
I mean, I could climb
I
up.
didn't know
I
that.
climb
I
up.
didn't know that.
I climb up anything, and there's no stamina meter, so it's even less realistic than Zelda.
what do you mean even less realistic?
You got infinite
It's
stamina.
funny
We're not
because
You have
doing
infinite stamina. This dude's Jack.
I was like, man, are they gonna make a realistic looking game with climbing? And I guess they already did.
But as great as climbing, I've realized that it's not only climbing that's amazing in Zelda, is the fact that you get to the top. Okay, well, I got to get down somehow. Now you have to climb back down or something.
Oh yeah.
But in Breath of the Wild, you could. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That's actually I've now come to the conclusion that you have to have climbing in every game and you have gliding in every game. so it's both. If you don't
Or
have
a quick
either,
way to get back down, a fucking grappling hook or some shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Horizon
something.
lets you usually a zip line or
Right,
rappel.
zip line down.
I will say, Immortals did the gliding. They took it to the next level
I'm
where
sure,
it's
yeah, I'm
really
sure,
well
yeah.
done, and it's like it doesn't have the thrill of getting to the top of something the same way as Zelda. But I do agree that the stamina adds a bit of strategy and risk reward to it, and that having the stamina worked well in Breath of the Wild. It works well in Immortals.
But
Strange
also,
that it's strange that in Valhalla they didn't think of something like that, because if you're allowed to climb anywhere, that already like makes me like, hey, maybe I want to play that now, you know. But I mean, if you have the gimmick that you can climb anywhere, I mean, you could find some. I mean, didn't the Odyssey, for example, have like the eagle you could throw in the air, you know, to look around and shit?
Yeah,
I mean,
you
like
could
make like a
slowly
little bit of a
glide
bigger
and-
eagle and like cuckoo down the mountain. You know?
Yeah, no, dude, that'd be fucking awesome. Trust me, I would love that. But people would be like, "Oh, it's not as realistic." The game's not realistic. Come on, man. And just like, but the whole thing is that also one thing that's I did really like Watch Dogs Legion. I actually really enjoyed it. But one thing to not Ubisoft's credit is they release, pretty much a lot of the same.
Yeah,
A million Tom Clancy's, a million, man. It's everything's Tom Clancy's something.
Well, they had that
something.
hit with Siege or whatever, Rainbow Six Siege.
Well, they had that hit with Siege, but then they also had Breakpoint. Do you remember that? That came out like a few years ago, and it did nothing. No one, and then you have.
They probably
remember
do
when
that
they had
to
the Punisher come
keep
out.
the
And
copyright.
then when was the last
shit.
Rayman? When was the last Rayman? 2013.
I don't want to
Fuck
talk
is
about
Beyond
that.
Good and Evil 2?
You know what I'm
I don't
saying?
want to talk about the remake. All right, so I'm gonna throw out a company, and here's my thing. I wouldn't put them as the best, but I do want to give them some level of credit for a little bit of diversification. I want to throw out Sega. I want to throw out Sega a little bit because I think we're getting
this alone. I'd say yeah, sure.
because I actually completely forgot we're getting that Alex Kidd game, and I completely forgot about that. See, they made effort.
Sonic.
No, well, see, no, it's not even Sonic. I appreciate them trying to diversify their shit. Like Panzer Dragoon, that was a nice effort. You just didn't go far enough with it. I appreciate the Yakuza push. The Soccer Wars game that came out a couple years ago. I appreciated that. Even trying to push the Super Monkey Ball game. They're like halfway there, but I just need you to put out some good shit. Like we're like
good, man.
Yeah, that's my issue. Like I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing. Just fucking fall through with the swing, and it hurts me, bro. Also, I forgot there was a House of the Dead remake coming out.
They just need a great Sonic game, like just a good.
Well, this is
enjoyable
his
Sonic
30th
game.
anniversary this year, so I'm hoping
That's
something.
not a goddamn thing.
I know it doesn't, but I'm hoping. I said hoping. God damn it!
I'm hoping to have hope.
Well,
Fuck.
I was
Go
thinking, but it's third party dev, right? Because I'm thinking third party publisher. Because I'm thinking also, like maybe basically the king of indies publishing is Annapurna Interactive. They do fucking everything. They had a whole collection with the whole, Sayonara Wild Hearts, fucking with Tom, Outer Wilds. Like, I mean, they have a lot of just
Usually when their
classics
name
back to back
comes up, people are like, oh, it's probably a good game. If
that's why
you're into
every
them.
time their name pops up, I'm like, all right. I Am Dead. I just picked up I Am Dead. I Am Dead's really good.
Microids.
This dude's killing it.
Microids,
you got a quality
Microids,
product. If you have a Microids on Switch, usually published game.
Yeah.
So
They do a lot.
I'm trying to skim over the other.
So who do you guys think like casuals or or I don't know, Xbox or like an Xbox centric channel or a Sony centric channel? What do you think most people would say for like
Third
best
party.
developer?
And Insomniac.
You think
Yeah,
they'd be
but
like,
I don't.
Insomniac is pretty
party at
high.
that point.
My
But
only
that's
issue
not
with
third party at
Insomniac is
that
that
point.
it's slow. It's somewhat slow output. That's about it. Like,
Well,
like the last
they were third party, but
they were a third party at one
Oh.
point.
I haven't
they
played
were
it.
up until recently.
I haven't been like blown away by any of their games, but
I appreciate the effort. I think that's my thing.
They have a nice variety. They do.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And they definitely put a lot of like quality and all that shit. Maybe not every game is for everybody, but personally, if I see Insomniac, I'm like, all right, this is gonna be some good shit, and I know I'm gonna have fun with the game.
Right, and unlike Naughty Dog, they don't think they're too good for their cartoon platform.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I really wish they would.
They really-
They went and did they did Infamous, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
they
no,
went and
no,
did
no,
Infamous,
no, Sucker
and they
Punch,
didn't say
that
Oh,
was
so.
Sucker Punch. Yeah, you're
Sucker
right.
Punch. Oh, my bad.
Oh, okay.
No,
never mind.
Sucker Punch.
They did.
Regardless.
They did.
regardless.
The one on Xbox.
It's
Insomniac,
Sunset
they did.
Oh,
Overdrive.
Sunset Overdrive.
I'm trying to
Sunset
think of
Overdrive.
like something
Well,
more.
no, but they
like,
also did
realistic.
They did Resistance. They did
Yep,
Resistance.
Resistance.
Oh, they did do
Resistance. That's what
Resistance.
it was. That's what I was trying to remember. So that's more
Now
hardcore.
Sony owns them now,
realistic.
so they're not as technically third party,
No.
but
Not anymore, but I mean, up until recently. That was like what? Recently they announced that.
Like last year, right?
Last-
I'm skimming through the third parties in my head.
there's
I'm
not like a bunch of them to actually
unfortunately
that release
I think
multiple
that's-
games. I would say
Well,
a lot of people would have said CG Project Red before Cyberpunk would have been like, yeah, they're good.
Yeah,
developers.
like-
CD Projekt Red only had like
Fucked up.
one major game that people were really pushing as of recently. Well, we put
When Robert
when
was
we
like,
put-
"Oh, when you hear this dev, you always think of really good shit," and I was thinking about them, and I'm like, "Yeah, them
They
not
broke my
anymore."
heart, man. They broke me down.
I know there's people who would be like, oh, Rockstar all the way. I'm just like,
I was gonna ask.
I mean,
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about Rockstar. If I'm being honest with you, I kind of I forgot.
as far as you want just like absolute top of the line visuals and amazing
Yeah.
looking world, but as far as like to me gameplay, they're pretty low.
What about Bandai?
They got big open world games. That's what.
Redemption 2 though, so it's like either
What
way.
about Bandai Namco?
Bandai is definitely always on top for me, but they're very like you and I oriented. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that the problem is
No,
that
I would
they're-
agree. I would agree with Ben and Namco.
Well, not even only that though. Remember, they worked on Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and
Yeah.
new Pokemon Snap.
I
These
would-
guys
Well,
really work on.
They almost
They-
did Metroid Prime 4, but it failed.
we don't
I don't
talk
think
about
they were ever officially confirmed, but it was assumed. It was,
They're
the
definitely
they're not gonna
working
officially say
themselves
it,
a
but
lot into the Nintendo
they were
shit.
doing it.
Yeah.
I think
I can respect them, especially because I saw Tales of Rise that trailer.
Oh man, that looks so
That
good.
shit looks absolutely gorgeous. I was like, all right, bet. And then they got Tekken, which has done exceedingly well considering that game at this point is like 4 years old.
and Soul Calibur 6 was
Yeah,
pretty
Soul
good.
Calibur too.
It's the Dark Souls series, right? They
They-
did Dark Souls and Sekiro. Oh no,
Uh,
Sekiro was Activision. Yeah, Activision. Is that weird? As Sekiro, it was Activision.
Was it?
is it
so-
for Activision?
Yeah, man.
Activision is still alive.
What? Bro, are you kidding?
All they-
Do you know that Activision is the biggest fucking third party dev?
Yeah, you're right. That is it
'Cause
technically. To be fair, Sekiro was developed by From Software, but it is published by Activision.
That's what I'm saying.
I didn't
Isn't
know
weird?
that.
I didn't know
I'm
Activision.
gonna give From Software more credit than I'm giving. fucking
Yeah.
Activision.
Yeah,
Just like with Bloodborne, I mean, From Software, that's to
That
me
From
like
Software-
Bloodborne can exist without Japan Studios.
Right.
yeah, because that was my main thing. Although that IP is pretty much shot.
There's another one,
Speaking
but
of
I
Japan,
more think
Oh God, put that down.
That got VR.
Put it down.
No.
like there's another one, but lately I feel they're more 50-50 and shit these days, and that's Platinum. Where
Yeah.
usually you have Platinum, you're thinking, man, this is gonna be top of the line. But then, for example, they did like the Turtles Manhattan thing, which is like just garbage, absolute garbage.
It was better than Korra. It was better than Korra.
The problem with those is that those are
Boy.
cashing. Those are cashing games. That's my issue.
Yeah,
with
those are sellout games. They needed some
Yeah,
money.
give us a
Two
check.
guys named- I think Transformers would go in the same hole.
Transformers was better.
Oh, Transformers.
I like Transformers Devastation though.
No, but I'm saying it's in that same tier. Also, those are
But yeah.
games from like what, almost
5 years ago.
Yeah, at least over 5 years ago.
It was a
But
while
they've
ago,
had
man.
some good.
If we're
I
gonna,
mean, overall,
if you're gonna judge Platinum, I feel like you need to judge them off of recent endeavors.
Judge them up for their
I keep
wonderful one-on-one.
forgetting one. There was a recent one. Which one?
Fuck you, T. Fuck you, T.
Astro. It's. I mean, I don't think who beat Astral Chain here other than me.
I'm still.
That's fair.
It's one of my 20+
I
games.
haven't
I'm
finished
still
it yet.
playing.
I'm close.
It is a bad.
Robert, finish it. Robert, why are you so quiet? Are you on the app? Are you on the
I
web?
am on the app.
I like.
Is your mic too
You
far
have to be,
away?
like, you have to be, like, really close to the mic, Liz.
Oh
Mike's too
god
far,
damn
that's
it!
what
We're not doing this.
Because Terrell, you
Um,
barely touch Astral Chain. Like you started it like when it came out, and you've touched.
I started it and I got distracted with other things.
To me,
if
it's
we're-
not
but if
their.
we're-
It's not one of their better games, but
It's all right.
It's decent.
If we're gonna talk about the recent games, we'll say last, I don't know, 4 years. 3, 4
Nier.
years? Nier, yeah, Astral Chain. They haven't really put out a lot.
And they got that Babylon game coming out.
When does that come out though?
They didn't give
I
a
don't
date.
So that one's just in the dark. The problem is they
Star
just
Fox-
haven't put out a lot.
They worked on Star Fox Zero,
Yeah, but I don't want to.
Bayonetta
But that-
2. So that's 2014. So yeah, it's been a
That's what
while.
I'm saying. They haven't put out a lot in recent years.
Let's see. Yeah, I
I
guess
just
they have
noticed
it.
you got Battalion Wars back there.
Yeah. No, I just picked it up recently. That's why I had it. Have it here
Man,
I'm surprised.
tell me what you think.
for one day.
Scrolling through.
I have Advance Wars. I've never played Battalion.
What's
I love
isn't
Battalion.
Battalion Wars just a sequel to Advance Wars? I thought.
It's
Mm,
it was supposed to
I
be
mean-
Advanced Wars, but then they just kind of made it its own thing. It's still based in the same kind of world and characters
Was it
and whatnot.
Intelligent? Meg?
It controls differently. It's
It's
That
real
looks like
time.
is that Intelligent Systems, Robert?
developer.
yeah, that's intelligent
Hmm.
systems.
No, it's a different developer. I thought.
Is it?
I
It
thought.
says that you have the box right there. Probably.
I was
tell
like, you could literally just flip the box around.
Oh yeah. I just looked up right now. It says Fujo Entertainment.
He's
Let's
looking
see.
it up online. He's got the box.
But it doesn't have it here. It just says
What's-
Nintendo.
Who published it? On the,
Nintendo.
on the front?
Nintendo, obviously.
What's
I
that in
know
the
Nintendo
bottom right
published it.
corner?
Nintendo. But
Oh,
no, but it
that's
says
Nintendo.
on online. It says Kujo Entertainment
Okay.
developed it.
Yeah, Nintendo doesn't always say who makes their games.
Yeah, they don't say it.
No,
on the
true.
box.
they kind of umbrella it.
They publish it. That's
Umbrella.
all.
Oh,
You need to know,
Kujo
motherfucker.
Entertainment made Rabbids Rumble for the 3DS.
What
Fun
about-
Oh,
two.
all right, stop it.
What about
Uh,
Battalion
two?
Wars 2 while you're on there?
Is that on Wii?
No, isn't that
it's
on? Is
It's
it?
on Wii. Yeah, that's also Kujo Entertainment apparently.
Okay.
Surprise! Okay,
Hmm.
I'm surprised they
Makes
got
sense.
2 games.
Very
fucking-
similar feel.
And then we got things like. So here's one I want to give credit to, but I
That's
hate
third
it.
party, you Kujo Entertainment. We forgot about them.
Well, to be fair, there is one third part I want to give credit to, but it's only because of their indies, like their initiative to push their indie titles, not necessarily their main games, which is like EA. Like I like that indie sector they have. that
I
they
agree,
push.
man. I think
But that's
EA
like the only thing. That's what makes me mad. I'm like, why?
And Star Wars, the Jedi Fallen Order.
That one.
I-
Well,
that
Respawn's
one-
Respawn's got a good track record.
Respawn themselves has a good.
I think
track
Titanfall
record, yeah.
1 was kind of.
Well, if they didn't buy him, this guy would probably be in there, right?
Oh god.
Oh no, that's Art.
I see. Avoid again, you fucking asshole.
Aren't they making? Aren't they the ones doing Deathloop?
Yeah.
I want to hear that game. Until that game is out, I don't want to hear shit about it.
People are like, oh man, how do you have all these games? How do you pay for? Bruh, I bought both of these for like $15 together.
You just got to be smart with it.
You gotta be smart. That's all. Like you don't have to buy them day one all the time.
So
Yeah,
we could be seeing Deathloop again on Thursday at the State of Play.
Oh god.
I think they're gonna.
Nah,
I think it's gonna
I
be
don't think
focused on Ratchet and Clank.
and 2 indie games. They said.
That
They
would
said
make the
Ratchet-
most sense. That's the next new game, right?
Returnal comes out.
Returnal.
Yeah, but-
they're gonna be a launch trailer. I'm guessing.
Yeah, but like Returnal comes out when? Didn't it like
Friday.
This week.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Oh shit! Well then, fucking so
Is
does
there really
Pokemon.
another
So does
state of
Pokemon
play?
Snap. That comes out Friday too.
Oh shoot, that's right.
Forgot
Pokemon
about
Snap versus Returnal.
Who thinks there's gonna be a VR element to the game?
What's
The
it,
Return-
I
Snap?
don't.
I wish, but I have
feel
no
like it might
faith.
be.
I'm saying no. Nintendo forgot the Labo VR existed.
My vote is for yes.
I'm saying no.
It wouldn't surprise me if it
Excuse
was.
me, but what's her name? Emily Rogers says there's one more VR thing.
Man, shut the
You
fuck
don't.
up.
Why would you say that? You knew damn well you don't believe that shit.
She's been saying Mario is going to be a good year to be a
Hey,
plumber over a
It's
year
gonna be a
ago.
great year to be a plumber. So
This is some spiteful shit, dog.
Is Pokemon Snap even gonna have? Because I avoided all the trailers, so I didn't watch
What?
any of the new trailers and shit. Is it even gonna have like fucking gyro?
I would
Like,
I
as
don't
assume.
in you
know.
We don't
hold
know
the
any of that.
switch, you know, like that kind of
It
shit.
fucking better.
I don't know.
All right,
Yeah,
so
they
let's.
better.
I think I've only seen like
been really
there hasn't even been
on
that
the
many
Wii
previews
U.
for the game. The only preview I think I've seen is Game Informer.
Yeah, no one's. I mean, they're. God damn it, saying YouTube's not receiving enough content. on
Yeah, my
end.
main issue right now is like my biggest
Anybody
issue
got
is
the
whether or
stream
not
up?
what.
It's saying YouTube is not receiving enough.
We're still rolling.
No, it's all the stream's up.
We're still going.
Still
Yeah.
good.
Man, I don't
Yeah,
know what the
It
fuck
shut
is.
for
I
a
got.
minute, but we're back.
I
up.
got fucking
I didn't see it
300
drop.
download speed, 20 something upload. I don't know.
They've
It's
come
funky,
to
apparently.
they come to spite you.
It's still saying on my screen.
You're still live.
Ignore it. We're live.
Hopefully. So maybe we'll talk about this next. Well, I don't know. We can get into it a little bit. Speaking of Pokemon Snap, it's not really speaking of, but it made me remember something. I want to talk about video game rating system. We had a back for. I had to change.
Are we gonna do that shit? Really?
I just wanted to say
Hours long.
I had to change my my way of viewing it. Robert,
Hate you, T.
he shed some light and changed my mind.
Really? Oh,
I think the numbering system is completely stupid. Like,
all right. Yeah.
because the problem with giving a game like the Metacritic, I was viewing it in my mind because you know 70 out of 100 as a 70% in school would be like a C minus. I've always looked at it that
Yeah.
way. But if you think about it, what if, let's say 70 to 100, that's 30 points, is a good to a great game. Then you have 0 to fucking 69 is like, there's way too much range for a bad game. So
The problem
So
is
for
the way
me-
it's currently handled.
if you're gonna do 100, 0 to 100, 50 would be like an average game. Should be like an average game.
It is.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The way
But-
the way we use the numbering system is the way we use grading. We go, oh, anything lower than a 70 is failing. That's
No,
what
no,
we do.
that's the thing. That's the thing. It's not. If you look at IGN's thing, it's just the way the public receives it.
Yeah, that's
the
right.
reviewers themselves.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Because they'll say it's a
public
good
receives
game. So I think for me personally, I'm switching to just a letter grade system. F, obviously it's a bad game. D, not that good. C's average, B's good, A's great. Like it's
That'd
so much
probably be better,
easier. It's
actually.
just so, and then you have the minus, the middle, and then the plus. You get a little bit of deep variety if two games are close. But to me, like I just think that from any point forward, I'm going to review or I'm going to mention me liking a game and give it a letter score or a movie or anything. I think the letter system, unless you do the number system and you agree that 50 is like an average game and not a bad game, because everybody views. I see 50 Metacritic. Oh, it's trash. That's but it's kind of true the way the review systems work.
But the thing that
Devil's Third.
Oh, get out of here.
that when
Hates
they
me.
have when it's like a 70 something, there's a reason why that thing is green. It's because it's favored reviews. When you get to the 60s and below, it's yellow, so it's mixed reviews. When it gets to the red, when it gets to 40s, 30s, it's red because it's bad reviews. And that's the whole thing, is that people school has fucked up everything. And so
But the thing that pisses me off about that, why I can never adhere to a fucking letter system, is because at the normal side of the world, we never use letters ever in school. We don't do letter shit. We have number stuff.
Normal
Like
side.
in the Netherlands, it was from 1 to 10. In France, it's from 0 to 20 and shit. Like 1 to 10, 1 to 10 works. When you have a 5, I'm with Robert. When you have a 5, you're in the middle. You have a good game. 5, you're in the middle. It's average. To me, once you reach 6, you're already good. when you're 7, you're like very good, 8, that's like already top tier for me. 9 is near perfect. That's how I see it. But 5 can be a negative because you're split in the middle. But when you guys go like, oh, I do like a F, D, 7, F, G minus, like that shit means fucking split
Well,
to me.
in the important part of the world,
Wow.
you get a 50 on a test, you fucking failed.
Yeah.
Okay, you get a 60, you barely passed. Okay,
Well, yeah.
70.
No, it depends on where you were in
now
the
you're
US.
Average. 70 C, you're average.
Well, but that's the thing, is that it's like people
80,
see that as
A
people-
90. So there you go.
people see that the school system like is like a 70. Every time you get a 70 on a school, you're like, holy shit, I did horrible. But the whole thing is like, that's because
But that's
you're,
average.
You're trying to get competing into, you're competing to get into school. You're trying to get a degree. You're doing that type of stuff. That has nothing to do with reviewing a video game. Like, it's two completely separate things. And
Yeah,
so
because like
the
I said,
thing
why is there a 0 to
I just
50?
meant the mentality of the
Yeah,
scoring
the-
system.
Yeah, because
That's the thing, is the mentality that numbers have fucked up people, and
Yeah.
and even if it was the letter one, people, if you get a C or a B, people are gonna be like, holy shit, I got a C, but like in the end of the day, and so that's why each number has to represent something. It can't just be from 1 to 6. It's non-existent. Wait, okay, then what is the point of giving a 2? What is the point of giving
Yeah.
a 3? What is the point of giving a 4?
But what
that's
makes a 7.5 better than a 7?
well because
Why is that?
to like a good to a very good. Yeah,
Well, that good
would-
cutscene.
You guys are always like, I'm watching like TV and shit, and people like coming home, oh, mom, I got like a B minus, my life is ruined. And I'm sitting here like, wait, why is that a bad thing? I remember when I was in school,
Well, actually,
and I
B
got
minus
a
isn't
5,
bad,
I got a 5.1. I'm like, yes, upper half, I'm good, Like, that's it.
No. Listen. I want to clarify. A B minus is never a bad thing.
No.
If you came home with a D or an F,
D,
primarily an F, you
I
can
came
try
home
it.
with Fs.
pack your bag.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's when
Yeah,
you
because
get inside with the back
F's
of a
the
belt.
bottom. F's not. It's not 0. Even though they did if you did a test and you had
F is for you to
100,
fucked up.
you had 10 questions, you got 5 right, and you missed 5. That's not great when you're like taking a test,
No.
But if
Fail.
you're associating a grade to a 0 out of 10, then it's like F is 0 through 50. And then D is 51 to 60 to 59.
Yeah.
So it's
Right.
F has too big of a range. That's why I'm getting rid of the number.
That's why when it comes
That
to
F range is much.
reviewing a game, reviewing a movie, is that there's a lot more to actually breaking down pros and cons than a factual test. A factual
Mhm.
test. A
Yeah,
factual
you got 5 right out of 10. That's 50.
That's what it is. But people see that as like school, because that, again,
That's
school
how I
fucked up
viewed it.
everything. School fucked up reviews, and that's what pissing me off. And so, so when you say you get a 7, they're like, man, oh shit, that's horrible, bro. That's 3 points away from a per 10. Are you kidding me? That's a good score. It's a good score, man. And
You can't say that because it's 3 points away from being a shit game, So it's in the middle. It's an F.
Is the game
A
4.
Damn.
It's 7 out of 10, so you're closer to a 10, At the end of the day. It's not like as in
But if you're a 4 out of 10, you
But you know how you should see it? You guys love doing the school shit, Juice, and you're like, all these letters are bad. But like in school, if your parents heard you were in the top 50% of your class, that was a good thing.
not really.
No, it's not.
Top 50%? Not really, bro. You're just an average motherfucker.
You're barely skating by.
Congratulations.
But I have to-
C student having
I have to challenge CK. He says there's not enough nuance in the letter grade. Yeah, there is. You got D minus, you got D, you got D plus, C minus,
I'm not
D,
upset,
C
but I'm
plus.
not
Hey
Plus.
man, we can add another minus.
How
We have
many?
D
I mean, how
minus
many?
in this
That's
bitch.
why I think the whole 0.1, 0.2 is just it's dumb at
Well,
that point.
That shit
I
is
would always
silly.
go
That cutscene
0.5.
rubbed me a little bit the wrong way, Juice.
Like
Docking
to-
0.6 points.
My opinion,
Too much water.
Tell
It's
him,
like,
fuck you. Bitch, I'm drowning.
it's always been like, you get
7.9,
like,
too much water.
you have a 7 out of 10, you're good, and if you're a 7.5 out of 10, you're very good. And so you're getting towards an 8, which is great. It rhymes.
I would never
We're
say
perfect.
8 is great though. Even
You're out here
on
dropping. What
You
would
want to
you
say
call
8 is
then?
great?
Great's almost what's above
8 is
great.
good.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Come
that's
on. So great would
8 is
be
good.
in
No,
9,
so
10.
this is my one. So
Y'all
I
using
go,
that game explaining rating
I go
system.
8's good.
10 is a masterpiece. 9 is
I'm using
fantastic.
Game Pro from back in the
Great.
day.
Oh,
So 7 is good. 6 is okay. 5 is average, all right. And then a 4 is
no,
bad.
but I would think okay would be
A
average.
3 is garbage. I mean, a 2 is garbage. A 1 is, why does this even exist? That's how I always name it.
What about
That's
a
my-
0? What's the 0, Robert?
A 0 is holy. No, I always. You gotta
Zero,
at least,
that's why Prime 2
you gotta at least
echoes.
give a 1. Like someone made something. You gotta at least give it 1. But if
Nah, I ain't
it's,
gotta do shit. Fuck that.
And then you got the whole argument of if you liked it versus if it's technically a solid game, like
Yeah.
I was trying to think of an example earlier of that where it's like, and it's not just the technical part of the game. Like somebody put a game together, you might not like the people that played Death Stranding and got past the annoying beginnings
You
and
mean the whole game?
where you can't where like highways get and traversal gets easier and they got into the story. It seems like most people who got to that point really liked the game, but a lot of people didn't get to that point. But it's technically a fairly well put together game with some, obvious annoyances. So I don't think you could really say a game is 0 if it's playable. And
that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like you could technically say a 0, but it's like, man, that's a little mean, At that point, you're just being really.
you got to be a user review angry that that a good game's out on a system you don't own to give a game a 0. That's when you give a 0, I think.
Like that's why like a 1.
T, change your face. Change your face, T. Change your face. Change your face.
Movie that would give a 1. The only ones that I would give to like a movie like the Emoji Movie or like the 50 Shades trilogy, like those are
Yeah,
genuine.
because once
like,
it's a
they're
shit movie to me, it's an F. Like it's just easy to lump them all into one. What are you doing,
it's a
Cat?
1 out of 10. Why does it even exist,
I would give Mortal Kombat on a number system. I'd give it a 10 out of 100 or 1 out of 10.
Shut the fuck up.
That's what I would give it.
Damn.
What?
Jesus Christ.
I did not
That's-
enjoy that movie.
Wish I never gave y'all people
You tough,
opinions.
man.
I did not enjoy that movie. After the opening scene, I was fucking bored. I was annoyed. I was disappointed.
I thought the opening scene that's 7 minutes. You wouldn't give it a 2.
Man, you tripping.
That's why
At least a 2.
that opening scene makes it a D+ out of a D-. Damn it, Cat! What are you fucking?
What?
I didn't like anything
tough,
about the
man.
movie
You tough.
after that opening. I was just.
I
was
don't know
twiddling
what
my
you
thumbs.
were
I found the movie
expecting
being
then.
enjoyable.
Like, I don't know, man. Like, I got
Totally
everything I wanted from
See,
that
I made a
movie.
tweet about that. All I wanted was good fight sequences, good action fight sequences. Like
Yeah, like the first one. Oh wait.
the first one didn't have great fight sequences either. So that's all I wanted. I didn't care about story. I didn't care about character development. I just wanted good fight sequences. I didn't get that other than the opening. So
Lore is one of the best things about Mortal Kombat.
they could have done
You know-
something with it. They didn't.
That depends on how you also see fighting. You see, like, some fighting is like Dragon Ball, where one fight is 20 episodes, and some fighting is like My Hero Academia, where one fight is like half an episode, Mortal Kombat is more like quick, And at one point, when you chop off somebody's head, they're dead, You can't
You know
stall
what?
that shit.
I don't think the fighting was bad. I think the editing of the fight scenes was bad.
Well, I think the editing was bad because they didn't have good footage
No,
shot. That's what I think.
I would disagree with that.
Man, like, when you
Or
said
it could have been the
you
short
said-
in the movie because it was
you
almost
said
2
in the
hours.
chat, like Juice, you were in the chat like, oh, this movie is like some teenager with like I think camera, and I was expecting like, oh my god, it's really gonna be that bad. I'm watching this movie, I'm like, oh, this shit looks fucking good. I know what he was talking about and shit. Like in all
That's
these
why I said
moves
they gave
straight up
it-
from the game and stuff like that.
You be putting up with some bullshit though, Retro. I don't know if I can trust.
Oh,
You like some- Here's where I was like realizing shit went wrong. I think
I
it
will
was
the same
Kung
time.
Lao
I don't know.
fighting with I don't know if it was Kano or the cold dude. They were like training or whatever. First they're kind of standing there. It's kind of a wide shot, and they're not nothing. They're punching. Next thing you know, it cuts to the hat, like barely missing him. You never even see him grab it and swing it. It was just like they're doing something. All of a sudden, randomly, he's dodging a hat for like 2 frames, and then it's back to them fighting.
Because remember this? Well, I don't know. Let me spoil
it. Feels like
there's a scene where some people are frozen, and they probably should be dead, but whatever. They're frozen, right? And then you cut back, and they just all of a sudden they're getting down.
Oh yeah,
like not blue anymore or anything. So it's just bad editing.
I feel like the movie was going to be really long. I hope that's the reason, because there was literally like at the end there was almost a montage where everybody went and had their fight, and it just felt like
gonna need a montage.
I just want to see some. I don't know if it's because of John Wick has spoiled us. I just wanted to see some good hand-to-hand combat.
You gotta watch. Honestly, you know what you have to watch, Juice? Watch Nobody. You will love that.
I can't wait to see one. I want to see.
There's only 2 things I will agree with about Mortal Kombat. I agree with T. Shen Tsung and Raiden were garbage. They were bad actors. They didn't feel good at all. And the editing wasn't maybe too good. At one point, there's a scene where Kano falls to the floor and he gets up, and that shot is 1 second. I had to rewind to see if I saw that correctly. Like somebody forgot to edit it out.
Yeah, I rewinded a couple times.
But like apart from that, like visually, I thought it looked really fucking good. Special effects were really fucking good.
Great.
I didn't like the fact that cold dude was in there. You have like 50 fucking characters to choose from, but whatever. But I mean, like you have like moves, like when Sub-Zero did a roll and he had like an ice clone, or Kung Lao's teleport, and shit was straight out of the fucking game, and it looked incredible.
I mean, the visual effects were well done. I agree with that.
Yeah, they were great.
There was some questionable green screening going on, but that's a lot of almost any movie these days.
I had less green screen trouble with that than like fucking Justice League shit. That whole movie was one green screen.
Yeah, it wasn't as questionable as
like Thor Ragnarok has some of the worst green screening I've ever seen. So that's a successful, well-liked movie, so that's not really a test, to a good or bad movie, but I don't know, it just didn't work for me, and I wasn't expecting a great film. I wanted some good fights, good action, and the original Mortal Kombat, rewatching it last year, I think I did, I had in my mind there was way better fight sequences, and it's not that great.
No.
I think the only really good fight scene, and it's my favorite video game movie, but the only really good fight scene I think is like Liu Kang versus Reptile.
Yeah, I think that's the best one.
Oh, I was gonna say Goro and
Johnny Cage.
Oh, that's him running really from him and then punch him in the balls, but still, it was cool.
You've been watching too many damn reviewers. That's what's going on.
No, I just literally just watched. Well, it was last year, summer last year, where I watched Mortal Kombat over, and I kind of dashed my nostalgia by rewatching as an adult because I still had really fond memories. I just hadn't seen it. I never owned it. Well, I think I had it on VHS. Never had it on DVD or Blu-ray or nothing, so I hadn't seen it.
Kerry Tagawa as Shang Tsung was great.
He was great.
Raiden surprised me. I was like, why did Christopher Lambert as Raiden? He owned it.
I like the chemistry of the team, even though I felt like the movie should have been a little bit longer. I feel like they rushed a little bit of the.
Liu Kang, he was the protagonist. He was the main guy, and he had a presence. Unlike this Liu Kang, he was like some little.
No, this Liu Kang was. I don't know what they were trying. I don't know what he's like in the video games.
The Shao Kahn.
It was weird.
To Chun Lao. So, yeah, whatever.
Kung Lao is his cousin. I don't know. I was confused. I haven't played a modern Mortal Kombat game, so I don't know any of the story.
Well, I'll tell you what, you wouldn't care for probably the Mortal Kombat story modes. I love them shits, but they're like over the top, like time traveling type stuff. Which actually, time traveling, retro death, you love it. Mortal Kombat 11 is all about you have younger Johnny Cage come with older Johnny Cage. All this crazy.
I want to play that because of that shit.
Ridiculous shit, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So and hopefully they do something other. I played it on Switch. Yeah, I did play it.
I know.
Terrell, you didn't watch it, did you?
What, Mortal Kombat? No.
Mm-hmm. You got free access to that.
Listen,
Godzilla, Justice League.
Hey,
you got 30 days to watch that shit, so
Look,
is it something that even interests you, Terrell?
What, the Mortal Kombat? Not
just Mortal Kombat.
Not really.
And that's what I thought.
I wasn't overly interested in watching it. Especially with all this like negativity that's surrounded it.
Well, it seems to be pretty split. Most people
I don't know,
either
man.
liked it or didn't like it.
If you look at
I think
the
it's kinda
audience
split.
score, I mean, people have been really enjoying it.
I keep seeing people say it's what I expected, and I'm like, man, like you had, I don't know, your expectations.
gonna sound
Mine weren't
weird.
that
Go
high.
ahead and say it, Juice.
I was gonna say
Juice
low
was
expectations.
trying so hard to
I mean, that's-
sugarcoat it. Juice was trying so hard to sugarcoat it.
I'm just like, my expectations weren't great acting and great story. It was just great fighting, and they didn't do that. So anything else was pretty much a waste at that point. I did like the couple of the shots in the final.
expected great visual effects, great gore, and I got both of those things. And some Mortal Kombatism, you know, like
Yeah, like actual shit from, like, for example, at one point with somebody, like, they do a fatality, and like they found a way to actually have them say that voiceover fatality without it sounding dumb. Like they
Yeah.
make
No,
it
I
work
actually
in
didn't
the
like
dialogue.
that. I actually didn't like
Even
it. That was
though-
one
That
thing I
was
did.
nicely done.
I liked
even
when
though
he
it
said,
technically wasn't a tournament, they shouldn't have been saying none of that shit.
I know,
Yeah.
it was just a weird choice too to have this new character.
Those are my
and-
only gripes. No tournament, and Cole
Well,
as
from
the
what
lead
I
guy.
from
Didn't
what I
work.
heard, like the guy who played Sub-Zero signed more contracts for more movies. What I'm
That means
hoping is that the
nothing.
next movie they do a tournament. But people say there's no tournament. But the second half of the movie, even though in the
No.
story it was unofficial, they didn't. You had like 4 one-on-one fights.
Yeah,
but
and
like,
like
yeah,
see
they're
what
real
30
what we
seconds
did.
each.
30
It wasn't
seconds.
Mortal Kombat
Yeah, they're
tournament.
real quick. They're really
You had
fast, though.
fights.
Yeah,
And
but that's what I
Melina,
said.
they
Once you
fucked up
chop off
Melina. I
somebody's
don't
head,
give a
you
shit.
die, you
I know, yeah. Bro, they really did mess
You know
up
what they did to
Melina.
Melina? They did the same shit with X-Men Apocalypse. That's what Mortal Kombat reminds me of the most. X-Men Apocalypse. You had these, like, Melina was just kind of in the background. If you knew who she was, cool, but she didn't look, to me, she didn't fit the Melina. I don't know what you guys thought.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't really look like the Melina.
But it's reminding me of
Yeah, the fat ass.
that's Apocalypse's crew and
That's all I was caring about.
I
an
think
X-
she played a good Melina, though. I mean, but they didn't really do much.
like
with
an
it.
X-Men Apocalypse. Like he had assembled his crew, and then they did nothing but walk around and stand there behind him when Apocalypse would talk. And like I felt like Melina, I don't know who that one was, Wings, that got split in half, cut in half.
She was in like the PS2 Mortal Kombat games. Too.
Yeah,
I had to look
Deception
her up.
or
The guy
Devil
with the
Alliance.
hammer too. I had to look him up.
I feel like you really had to know the games to
should know
get something out of
everybody.
that movie. Cause who
Yeah,
was the
be a
dude
real
with the
fan.
helmet on and shit? Like, was he from
Cabal,
like 3 or
not
4?
Cabal.
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 Yeah,
Was he
Cabal
like in 3 or
Like,
4?
Mortal
Oh,
Kombat. Mortal
He was
Kombat
in the
3.
earlier one.
Like
Yeah,
Mortal
he was in,
Kombat
like,
3 is the
Mortal Kombat.
last one.
I know he was in.
Go ahead.
I think he was in 3.
He was
Yeah,
in
3.
3, but he was also in.
I played him in Mortal Kombat Trilogy.
See, even
a lot.
Midnight Owl,
Trilogy,
she said
that's what
Melina
it
was
was. Yeah,
was awful. She's got good taste other than in men, you know. You know
I
what
knew
I'm
that was
saying?
coming.
Oh, no, no, no.
That's fucking hey, man.
Who?
Midnight Owl. She's in the chat.
He's out here. He's out here throwing a bunch of shit.
Some people
dog.
won't know that.
Some
Most people
jealous
probably won't
shit,
know that
man.
joke. Won't get it.
That's
That's an inside kind of joke.
Is it inside?
Well, I mean, in the chat, I mean.
I think Retro's inside. I'm not inside.
Dude.
Melina
So,
was fat ass.
Anyway.
Melina was thick though.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, Melina. I mean,
It just felt like they had a lot of, I guess, you know, somebody said they had a $95 million budget. By today's standards, that's really low.
yeah. Is that crazy? That's crazy.
So, you know, a lot of it probably was special effects based on what I've seen. It wasn't, they didn't have like huge money. They probably couldn't afford the John Wick stunt team, you know, like, but I think
Yeah.
that could be
Well, John,
awesome.
I'm pretty sure the
I think
budget
there'll be
for
a sequel because they didn't spend that much money on this movie.
No.
So
It did
I'm pretty
22.
sure the John.
they probably would have
Lower
made a profit already.
It did 22 million in the U.S. I don't know what it did worldwide, but
It's gonna do pretty well worldwide, I believe.
Yeah, you want to know that the budget for John Wick was like 30 million.
well,
John Wick-
yeah, the first one they were unproven.
20.
I'm just saying.
But-
I mean, you gotta. I mean, it's not just John Wick. I mean, you're talking about fucking Keanu Reeves. This dude trained like 10 years.
Yeah,
to
but I
learn
just
one
want, like,
Matrix and shit.
adequate-
You know?
Yeah, he actually learned martial arts.
I want to
Yeah,
see.
He's a real martial artist.
I was
so-
just, you know, because that's one of my complaints about the original Mortal Kombat is that the fight sequences were kind of a letdown rewatching it last year. And I was like, I just want to.
Yeah, you can't always blame it on the actor. I mean, the director has to take.
And the director might not be.
It's not that expensive to bring in a good choreographer because they used to do it all. You used to have really like low budget bad action movies in the 80s and 90s, but the fights were amazing in those freaking movies.
And T, you watch the stuntmen react on Corridor Digital, don't you? Like they break down scenes like in Game of Thrones with the Hound versus Brienne. When I watched that a few years ago, I thought it was good. They broke it down and it's like one of the worst cases of jump edits where they had the actors doing it. They probably weren't very good, and they just had to cut around it. And it's like literally goes from like swinging a sword, all of a sudden somebody's getting kicked like in the next frame. Like there's no, and they said they break all kinds of like the old rules of fight sequences. Is you got to stay on. If somebody's on the left side, you can't all of a sudden cut to them being on the right side because it's too jarring and people can't understand. The Bourne Identity movies pretty much ruined, fight sequences because they pretty much started the whole jump cut editing style, and it tricks you. If the first time you watch it, it tricks you into thinking. But because I've watched all of them break it down, I think I'm more aware of it now, and it kind of ruined some things for me because now I'm like looking at it from their perspective, like how they show it. Like, all right, here's a good scene, here's a good sequence, here's one that's just done poorly by people who didn't know, like a director who didn't know how to shoot it right, so they had to try to fix it in editing. Yeah. So
it's just priority. What does the director prioritize? What did the producers prioritize? So I wish they didn't prioritize creating a new character in Cole Young because it's not like there's not enough fucking people.
It didn't add it. Doesn't
in the
add
goddamn game.
And apparently he's a martial artist, but they didn't really showcase it.
Yeah, no, he's a martial artist, but you couldn't tell because it wasn't great. It wasn't good choreography. It wasn't good.
I was confused editing. The whole movie about that shit, man. I kept thinking, wait. So I thought like, because that's what I agree with. He shouldn't have been there. I'm like, wait, is he gonna become Scorpion? But his name is not the same. It makes no sense. How are they gonna do that? Because obviously we're gonna bring him back. I'm like, just make him somebody that at least give him a name of a character that becomes that character. That
the minute Raiden flew away after the first scene, flew away with that baby, I knew who Cole was. I was like, oh god. I was like, oh, I know where they're going with Cole.
No, but I mean, even if you create it like that, you can still make it an already existing character. Just pretend it's from the same lineage. You don't have to do all the.
And I hear how stupid I was. I didn't realize that was they said it, but I had forgotten that it was a girl, the baby that they hid under that Raiden took.
Yeah.
I'm like, isn't that thousands of years ago? How is it? I thought it was that baby. I thought he was the baby. That's how much I was paying attention. But that opening sequence was awesome. And I liked when Sub-Zero fought Jax and the way he took his arms, like that was cool. There was cool stuff in there.
Yeah, but it was kind of stupid. If you
but
think about
the build up to it was
he cauterized it. It was so he cauterized the.
Wait a minute! You got two people. You're trying to kill Earth's fighters. You got two of them in one place, and you're gonna play Freddy Krueger with Jax. You're gonna go and hide and mess around in some warehouse room. Play with them and toy with them when you could have just knocked both of them off right there at the same time. Didn't make a lot of sense, but okay, it was a cool scene though.
Yeah.
But all right, we'll get out of here and
remember we're still live.
We're still live.
Oh shit, we are live.
I forgot.
Sorry guys.
We went on a little bit of a tangent.
And I'm like,
Terrell would normally say, "Welcome to the movie podcast."
I was trying to be better than that.
All right, so
it was gaming related.
We'll get out of here next week. We should have at least anybody picking up new Pokemon Snap to have impressions next Friday.
I'm highly debating it.
Returnal, this is stream.
I've decided I'm getting Returnal day one, so I'm gonna be playing that. I'll probably stream. And
fuck you and your Portal.
So we'll talk about that and the state of play, the Ratchet and Clank trailer. It looks incredible. And
I honestly don't even want to watch the trailer because there's already so much.
I like what's her name, Rivet. Little Max.
Yeah, don't go online. Right now. Don't go online.
So anyway, we'll be back next week and have another fun discussion. And so we'll see you guys next week.
What the fuck is going? If you don't get your stupid ass out of here.